warm afternoon. We are deep in the heart in Arlington, Texas. Globe Life Park for one more year, then a new ballpark here in Arlington. Right now, of course, the home of the Rangers and home for MLB Live on Facebook Watch. Crucial game for the Seattle Mariners. Rangers and Mariners have split the first two of this three-game set. Hi, everybody. I'm Rich Waltz. Welcome to Arlington. The Seattle Mariners in mid-June were running away with that last wild card spot in the American League. They had 11 games between themselves and the Oakland Athletics, and we're not yet to mid-August, and that lead is long gone. In fact, right now, Oakland's in that #2 spot, and Seattle's 2 behind them. And last night, they were hammered here, and their ace, maybe their former ace, Felix Hernandez, took the brunt of it as the Rangers beat Seattle last night. The Rangers, young, dynamic, fun to watch, and hot right now. This ball club has won 8 of their last 11. And that's the backdrop for our Facebook Watch today, and some things to remember. You can join us in the conversation if you want. Join a Mariners or a Rangers fan group. If you don't like the comments and you just want to watch baseball, the quiet mode on your mobile, if it's a phone or a device, swipe right. If it's a laptop or a PC, click the quiet button, or extend it to full screen and the comments go away. And baseball appears, and these two guys appear. Our analyst today, the pride of San Angelo, Texas. He was a Ranger in the mid-90s, and he could go get it. David Hulse is with us, also a Brewer in his time in the major leagues, and we expect many plays like that from the booth this afternoon. Ryan Roland Smith, back by popular demand, the lefty out of Newcastle, Australia, a 16-year pro, 4 years with the Seattle Mariners, and he represented his country in the World Baseball Classic with Aussie pride. And they join us now. Steven Nelson will be with us as well. He's down on the field right now trying to stay cool. We start with you, David Hulse, and we start with these Texas Rangers. Hot right now, young right now, and fun to watch, and the future of the Rangers is on display right now in the second half. Rougned Odor and Joey Gallo are really rolling.
Definitely the swagger is back in Rougned Odor. He struggled the first half, but he put his head down, did the extra work, and has made all the difference. The second half, he's one of the best hitters in baseball. He leads the American League after the All-Star game with 26 hits, and he's just been awarded his second Player of the Week, which is the first time since 2005, and Mark Teixeira.
Joey Gallo is a guy that everybody wants to see.
Yes, everybody wants to come see Joey Gallo hit a ball out of the stadium. They love home runs. That's what he's about. He's a power guy with power numbers. If he can continue this and just cut down on the strikeouts a little, it's going to change his season. And we have to remember, they're young, and he's only 25. The future is bright for these two.
And they both have had really nice series and nice second halves. We turn to Ryan Roland Smith. The Seattle Mariners, the frustrating thing is there's not one thing you can put your finger on and say, fix that, and they'll get going again. How do they get going?
Well, I think it comes down to the offense. This is a team that came out of spring training on fire and just blew out expectations of what they were expecting. A lot of magic in those bats, a lot of late inning heroics. Nelson Cruz was on fire. And then July rolled around, they limped into the All-Star break and just haven't quite gotten on a roll since then. The pitching has been good, hasn't been great like it was early in the year, but this is something that they need to start figuring out real quick.
Help is on the way, and it comes in Robinson Cano. He's been there, he's done that, he's won a world championship, coming off his suspension. He arrives next week in the Oakland series. How does he help them?
I think he helps other guys in the lineup. You know, this is like the trade that you didn't have to make in the middle of August. Getting a guy like Robinson Cano back is going to be huge. Mitch Haniger can slide back in that 6 hole. It just creates that depth in the lineup, and he's going to be an impact right away.
But he's not in that lineup yet. Here is Scott Service's lineup for this afternoon game. The Seattle Mariners going to lead it off with D. Gordon, Gene Segura. Both Gordon and Segura trying to get that spark back. Mitch Haniger is in right. Nelson Cruz homered last night, and he's homered in 6 of his last 12 games, and 5 of those have come this month. Kyle Seager at third base. He homered in game 1 of this series. Denard Spans in left field. Been a really nice find for the Mariners. Ryan Healy at first base. Mike Zunino had a terrific game in game 1, which the Mariners won in extra innings. And Cameron Maben with a highlight film catch patrols center field. And there is Scott Service, his 3rd year as the skipper of the Mariners, and trending upward. Last year, 86 and 76. They were 3 out of the wild card when it was all finished. Obviously, high hopes. The Mariners, according to Fangraphs, had a 75% chance of getting to the postseason in mid-June,
right,
when they had that nice lead over the Angels and over the Oakland Athletics. And obviously, they'd like to get those percentages back. There's still a lot of baseball to be played. The Athletics last night lost to the Dodgers. And there's a look inside the Rangers dugout, and there's Jeff Bannister in his 4th year, Manager of the Year in the American League in 2015. It's somewhat of a retooling, rebuilding year here, David Hulse. But in talking to Bannister, he's very excited about the young talent that he runs out there on a daily basis.
Yeah, right now I'm going to call them the young guns. He's running out 4, 5, 6 guys sometimes that are 25 years or younger, especially Rougned Odor, like we talked about, the hottest player in baseball, in my opinion. Elvis Andrus, we think he's old, but he's still young, and he's riding an 18-game hitting streak. You got Jurickson Profar, who is versatile and will go and play anywhere, just like the rest of the young guys. And behind the plate, Kiner Falefa, another one. I'll play wherever I need to.
Well, they'll be playing behind a veteran starter. Giovanni Gallardo has had a terrific career. He's trying to breathe some new life into it. His wins and losses look great. The ERA is not great.
Yeah, you see that 6.51. He's been a lot better of late. The last 3 starts, he has been really good. And this is a guy, again, 12 years in the big leagues. He's been a big fixture with the Milwaukee Brewers and just trying to find a home right now.
As our resident pitcher in the booth, what's your scouting report on this right hand?
Well, the 3 things with Giovanni Gallardo, and I got a chance to watch him a lot last year. First of all, has glove will travel. This is a guy who's still trying to find a home. Was a fixture at the top of a rotation with the Milwaukee Brewers. And then second half surge, he has been on a surge of 270 ERA, 233 opponents, as opposed to the 6.75 first half ERA. And raking righties are doing a ton of damage. If he can hone it in a little bit, righties are hitting 307, and Nelson Cruz is right in the thick of that lineup with the Mariners, who's hitting 600 off Gallardo. So these 3 things I'm going to look at watching him today.
Scott Service would love to see the top of his order come to life. D. Gordon, Gene Segura have been cold of late. Gordon digs in. Segura and Mitch Haniger will follow here in the first. We're underway in Arlington. And Gordon takes in. D going with the high Sox look, trying to break things up. A 284 average, 303 on base, and that's the number that he would love to improve.
Yeah, here's a guy came out of the All-Star break who turned it back on. He came out spring training looking really good at the top of that lineup, that 1-2 punch with him and Gene Segura, but he's cooled off a little bit of late.
Definitely, and they need him in the leadoff spot because speed kills, and that's his job. Set the table, get on, let everyone else drive you in. Get this game going early.
And of course, with guys like Haniger, who's driven in 70, Cruz, who's driven in 72, Seager's driven in 61, that's a big piece of the puzzle. And that high fastball that Gordon goes after evens the count at 2-2.
That was the one question mark with D. Gordon. Even after the really good year he had in Miami, you got to see him a lot, Rich. Was the on-base percentage. It was still low for a leadoff spot, but he defends that with that really good batting average year after year.
2-2 from Giovanni Gallardo, the 32-year-old, a local guy, born in Mexico but raised in Fort Worth and trained with our David Hulse a lot. You know this guy pretty well.
I took him, I raised him as a baby. He was 21 years old when I met him. Bobby Witt called me one day and he goes, I got a can't miss. Can you train him? And I've done it ever since.
Well, you did a fine job. Here's the 3-2. Gordon drives that to center, hits it pretty well. There's Carlos Tocci out there. And Tocci, the young Venezuelan, runs it down and makes the catch. Defense. This is something that the Rangers have put an emphasis on, getting better defensively. Willie Calhoun, Carlos Tocci's in center, Joey Gallo out in right. On the corners, Jurickson Profar's playing all over the place. He was at first in the first 2 games of the series. He's at third here. Andrus and Odor up the middle. Ronald Guzman, a terrific athlete at first. And a real story here, Isaiah Kiner Falefa is getting the start behind the plate. He's a part-time catcher. He's a very good defensive infielder. And he gets the start behind the plate. Here's Gene Segura. A day off yesterday. And a breaking ball catches the top of the zone, and it's a ball and a strike.
And this is the guy, Gene Segura, who you want to see get going. This is an all-star hitting 323 up until the break. He's hit 200 since. He had the day off yesterday after going 0 for 6.
And a former teammate of Gallardo. He's not faced him all that much. They were together in Milwaukee. Then count 2-1.
Then again last year in Seattle, Giovanni Gallardo moving around the last couple of years trying to find a home.
Yeah, he's going to be successful. Back when he was coming up, he threw harder so he could get away with pitching up in the zone. Now he still pitches up in the zone, but he's got to find the corners and stay out of the middle to be successful.
But that was one thing. Spring training last year was his velocity had dipped a ton, and looks like this year, and even towards the end of last year, that velocity started to gain a little bit. Anything in the off season you guys worked out a lot? Anything you guys did differently to get that velocity back?
We did. He just really did a lot of cardio to stay in shape so he wouldn't blow up or balloon up any. And then we just continued to work strength, strength, strength in the right areas. And it's nothing really changed. I think his attitude changed, and the older he's getting now, especially now, he realizes I got to learn how to pitch instead of just go out and throw.
And that's what a lot of people are saying about Felix Hernandez right now.
Right.
Without velocity and without that plus stuff, figuring out how to get outs, that can be a challenge. Here's Haniger now, and Segura's at first. And a wide throw. Guzman at first is a terrific athlete and is very quick. He did a nice job of saving that throw. Segura has speed to steal a base. Haniger, of course, an all-star season. And a ball in the dirt. Kiner Falefa digs it out, fires to second, and Segura is in there.
It's a great read on Segura's part.
Yeah.
Any ball you see down that bounces, if you're alert and have a good secondary lead, you should just take off. And he did a great read. No hesitation, no pause.
Kiner Falefa is an infielder who's been converted to catch some. He still plays a terrific third base. He's very good up the middle. But it is a learning process behind the plate for him.
Yeah, I guarantee that was discussed before today. And, you know, you start to see Kiner Falefa get behind the plate a little bit more in the second half. But I guarantee you that was discussed where, hey, you know what, anything in the dirt, let's get going on him.
Right.
Haniger takes a breaking ball for a strike. Phil Cuzzy calling balls and strikes. Tom Hallion, Ryan Blackney, Adam Hamry are the umpires here. And I think everybody in this ballpark is thankful there is overcast skies above, because they projected temperatures in the upper 90s. It doesn't feel like we're there right now. That's a breaking ball for a strike. And the count 1-2.
It did feel like a cool front, though, once we took those jackets off. So
Yes.
things are looking up this afternoon.
One more year in this ballpark, Globe Life Park, 91 right now. The new ballpark will be air conditioned with a retractable roof. And Haniger takes down low. And the count evens at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Gallardo is 32. And long ago, as Ryan pointed out, he was at the top of a rotation, the Milwaukee Brewers, and that was a good rotation. He was an all-star back in 2010.
And already you see that pitch count, a lot of deep counts from Gallardo. You saw that a lot last year when he was in the Seattle Mariner uniform, and that was really the difference too. When you watched him at the top of that rotation with the Brewers, he was efficient. He had that plus changeup, still has it, but it was a matter of getting to that pitch a lot faster than what he is and staying in this game longer.
Career numbers, the ERA right at 4. Haniger goes after a fastball and hits it out of play.
Yeah, he had the same problem the first ride through here at Texas. Again, pitching deep in the count, getting the pitch counts up, so where he wasn't able to stay in the game longer, and then not making pick because he's stubborn and wants to hit the corners. When he wasn't finding them, you know, he had to come down the middle and he got in trouble.
7th pitch of the at-bat. Segura's at second. We're just underway. And Haniger lines that ball into right center field. That's a base hit. And around third, headed home and scoring is Segura, and Seattle is on the board first. Mitch Haniger drives in run number 71.
Just a great at-bat from Mitch Haniger. That looks like a changeup, a 3-2 changeup, and this is the issue with Mitch Haniger of late. The power numbers have dropped. He's hitting down around 230 in the second half, and that is what you want to see, a 3-2 count, waiting for his pitch to hit. And this is what we saw, Rich, in the beginning of the year with the Mariners. A lot of this, top of the lineup, whether it be D. Gordon or Gene Segura, getting on, creating traffic, jumping on, getting on to second base as quick as they could, and then guys like Mitch Haniger driving him in. They just have not had that the last couple months.
Nelson Cruz, one of the hottest Mariners, has blasted 5 homers this month, 6 in his last 12 games, including a ball last night that he hit way out down the left field line. That was home run number 30. Haniger's at first. Gallardo's in some trouble.
The guy everyone has on the team, the professional hitter, always known as the professional hitter, does it year in and year out. The numbers are always there. And when you're starting to get into conversations where you're mentioned with Ken Griffey Jr., well, you're doing something really well. And even A-Rod back in the day when he was hitting homers in Seattle.
Yeah, Cruz, speaking of A-Rod, he's in some elite company as far as Seattle sluggers go. In the history of the Mariners, Cruz is just the third to have 4 seasons of 30 or more home runs, joining Griffey and joining Alex Rodriguez.
It's rare, too, to have a guy like that with that much pop, work the count, have those good at-bats, and hit for a high average. Talking about Joey Gallo, too, in the opening. Completely different. That's the style of baseball we've seen in the last couple of years.
Right.
And this is where Nelson Cruz learned how to hit as a Texas Ranger. 8 years a Ranger. He and Rudy Jaramillo, who was the terrific hitting coach for a long time here in Texas. Jaramillo and Cruz were inseparable when he was here, and he really blossomed. 8 years, a 2-time All-Star.
Yeah, he definitely came up through the organization at the right time, working with Jaramillo, learning how to hit, like you said, not just out there free swinging. It's either hit or miss, homer or strikeout. He actually learned how to hit, and he's carried that over throughout his career.
23 pitches in is Gallardo. A run across, just 1 out, and Haniger chased back. Haniger can run. He is 7 of 9 stolen bases. And Rudy Jaramillo, I'm sure, has seen the highlight from last night. Has to be pretty proud of this swing. This was the home run, and this was lost in the blink of an eye.
The ball is absolutely crushed. Bartolo Colon's about 86, and he was behind in the count. You know what happens. A guy like Nelson Cruz up when you're in a 2-0 count like that.
Last night's game changed in a hurry. Back-to-back homers by Cruz and Seager. Seattle was off to a 2-0 start. First 2 innings from Felix were okay, and then it all turned sideways for him. Connor Falefa makes the catch. He tripped a bit on the on-deck circle over on the Rangers side of the diamond.
I guess Beltre moved that in the wrong spot today. It got in the way.
I was here for that game, actually, where Beltre was ejected for moving the batter's circle. Now here's Seager. Seager blasted one right after Cruz last night. He's hit 19, and he's always hit well in this ballpark. And 25 pitches in, Gallardo's trying to limit the damage. Big shift for Seager. He sees it a lot. And this is the home run.
That's his happy zone down and in to Kyle Seager. He's been doing this a lot of late. He had 2 home runs against the Blue Jays the last series. He's starting to get that feel for it. The big thing with him is the mistakes. He was getting mistakes like that one right there and just not doing any damage.
Now with the shift, Profar is out, and the third baseman actually makes the catch out in shallow left field. So Gallardo gives up a run. Mitch Haniger gives Seattle a lead. Knocks in Gene Segura. We are underway. MLB Live, Facebook Watch in Arlington. Rougned Odor getting set to go to work. Gentlemen, what do you see with him?
Well, early in the season, he was out front. He was on his front side. He was trying too hard to just hit the ball out of the park. And it turned out, like we're showing here with launch angle, he was actually hitting more balls on the ground and rolling over. Second half of the season, he put in the work. He did extra work early in the games. He's staying back now. It's changed his launch angle. The ball's getting deeper, and he's hitting bombs. Plain and simple, he's the hottest player on the field right now.
And here's this Texas Ranger lineup. They are hot. They've won 8 of 11, 4 of their last 6. Split the first 2 in this series. Profar's played all over the place. Odor's in the 2 spot. Elvis Andrus has an 18-game hit streak, and that's the longest going in the major leagues. Beltre is playing. He's the DH in this ball game, followed by Gallo, the big left-handed bat. Kiner Falefa is behind the plates. Ronald Guzman is at first base. Willie Calhoun, young outfielder in left, and Carlos Tocci, who's a Rule 5 draft, is an outstanding defensive center fielder, still trying to find his way offensively in the big leagues. Marco Gonzalez.
Yeah, you see a 3.46 ERA, 12-6. He's having a monster year, 132 innings, creeping up in unknown territory for him as far as innings go after the last couple of years, especially coming off Tommy John.
It's funny that the season opens and you think Felix Hernandez is the ace.
Yeah.
He's plainly not. Then James Paxton takes that mantle and runs with it. But if you look at the numbers over the last month and a half, this has been the ace of Seattle's rotation.
Yeah, there's been a couple big stories in this rotation. Wade LeBlanc pitched the other night, and he's had an amazing year after playing all over the world. And this guy, Marco Gonzalez, has been electric all year long.
Here's Profar, the switch hitter, who hit a big 3-run homer last night. He was spiked a couple weeks ago in his face, and he was sliding into second and caught a cleat. He's got a couple of cleat cuts on that chin. Those are the Band-Aids that are on that left cheek.
Yeah,
Gonzalez misses out.
Saw that, and all that happened after the play. Guy lost his balance, came back, spiked him right in the face. But the funny part is he put the Band-Aids on, came right back out and finished the game, which was good. And everybody had a good laugh after that.
Profar bounces that one off the mound, and it shoots right up for Gordon to make an easy play. What do you guys have in your scouting report for Marco Gonzalez?
Well, some of the big factors as to why he's had so much success this year. First of all, get ahead, stay ahead. The splits are massive. When he's ahead in the count, opponents hitting 184. When he's behind, 345, and he's been ahead of the count a ton. Any pitch, any count. Scott Service talks about this guy that you don't quite know what you're going to get that day as far as what pitch and what count. He just doesn't slip into patterns. And the big one for me, he's cutter happy. This is the 4th pitch he worked on in spring training to get that second, third time through the lineup to get hitters off that fastball, and it has been a game changer for him. This is a pitch he throws a ton with 2 strikes, and it is a pitch he goes to 50-60% of the time when he's ahead in the count.
Gonzalez, of course, drafted in the 1st round by the Cardinals. Terrific trade by the Mariners to get him. Tommy John surgery in 2016. And that fastball misses in to the reigning American League Player of the Week, Rougned Odor.
Having a great post-All-Star season right now.
He's won the award twice since the All-Star break, Player of the Week.
One of few for the Texas Rangers, but the last one was 2005 in Mark Teixeira.
And he drops down a bunt, and it's gorgeous.
And that's just another example. When you're hot, you're hot.
Yeah.
And when you're running on all cylinders, the ball looks like a beach ball, and you go lefty on lefty and drop that drag bunt down for a hit. He's doing whatever he has to, and it's working.
Especially with that big leg kick, too. Marco Gonzalez bounces off the mound. He's a really good athlete out there, but just that different element of the game, Odor, when you complete package and you're doing the things you're doing lately, that, like you said, David, that just falls for you every time.
Yeah, big lefty falling off the mound. They bust you in twice the first 2 pitches. Take it with you the first. Yeah. You get it down, you get it past the pitcher, base hit.
Now Andrus, the shortstop, we talked about the hit streak, 18 straight, and he's hitting 375 in that run. You got Beltre behind him. Beltre homered last night. Rangers had 3 home runs. Seattle hit a couple last night. That one to center and hit well. Maben turns and watches it bounce off the bottom of the wall. Odor had to hold, and he's only going to get to third as Andrus ends up at second base. And the Rangers, the ball, look, it carries well in this ballpark to begin with, but on a hot afternoon, it's really going to go. And that one reached the wall before Maben could get back there.
Yeah, we talked about Marco Gonzalez, the splits when he's ahead and behind. That was a 1-0 pitch. He can get very hittable when he's behind in the count. And you see pitches like that, just too much plate, where he's trying to be more efficient, get deep into this game. And Andrus is on a tear right now.
Here is Beltre now, the future Hall of Famer, 39-year-old, his 21st year in Major League Baseball. And he hit home run 468 last night, which ties him with the newly minted Hall of Famer Chipper Jones.
Off one of his best buddies, Felix Hernandez.
It was an interesting bit of baseball theater last night. The strikeout of Beltre by Felix early in the ball game brought laughter from just about everybody, including Felix and including Beltre. The 0-1, and it's down low. Here's the strikeout. Now this is before the game got away.
Yeah, this has been going on all year long, or all career long with these two up against each other. Look at that swing. Felix loving it. The thing is too, when you talk about Felix's struggles, that you want to see him loose in this situation, but yeah, Beltre got him later in that game.
Beltre fouls it off. Here's the twist to that, because they've had this back and forth throughout their career. Felix was absolutely wearing it last night, late in the ball game. He was getting shelled, and he was still out there. Beltre homers against him, and Beltre knew that was not the time to continue that. Beltre kept his head down, went around the bases, got to the dugout. That one fouled back and out of play. And it was really a show of class by Beltre. He knew that his friend was getting hammered, and he knew that it was not the right time to continue that.
That is why Adrian Beltre will be in the Hall of Fame soon. Classy guy, professional hitter, good teammate, professional and respectful to other players on other teams.
Infield's back, and Beltre fouls it back. Here's the home run, and if this happened right after the strikeout and the game was tight, I'm sure Beltre and Felix might have had a little more fun with it.
Yeah, but in this situation of the game, this is late. This is when Felix is absolutely wearing it. The damage had already been done. And like you said, Rich just put his head down. There's no back and forth, and he just knew that his best buddy was absolutely wearing it in a tough place right now.
Another 1-2, and Beltre fouls it at the plate. Now, when the inning ended, Felix turned and looked in the dugout and tipped his cap, and it was very subtle, and Beltre did the same.
Yeah, I guarantee you they probably would have had a conversation after the game. Adrian Beltre, being the kind of teammate he is, I got a chance to play with him for a couple of years over with the Mariners, and that's what he would do. I guarantee you Felix and him had a good talk about where Felix is at in his career. Beltre
in the air to right, and he's going to end up in the seats. Good battle here. Marco Gonzalez gave up a bunt hit to Rougned Odor. Elvis Andrus hit a line shot off the base of the wall in center field. And this 1-0 lead that Seattle has in trouble right now. Beltre, the 8th pitch of the at-bat coming. A sharp ground ball. Runner comes home, and Seager, who made 2 errors last night, can't handle it. Kyle Seager, in his career, is a Gold Glove third baseman. 2014, he won a Gold Glove. That's his 10th error of the season, and his 3rd in less than 24 hours.
Yeah, he's going through something right now. Even in the postgame last night, listen to him talking. He approached the media and said, "Look, you know, especially with Felix, you talked about Felix struggling out there last night. Just couldn't give up those base runners." But yeah, Kyle Seager right now, talked about how good he is at third base. Just going through something, pressing a little bit, trying to create the action over there at third base.
Now Gallo, and the errors last night helped fuel that 11-run outburst by the Rangers. It is an error, and it is an RBI. So Beltre gets an RBI, Seager gets the error, and Gallo's up in a big spot. Infield back for 2. And Gallo drills one into right center field. That's a hit. Coming in is Andrus. Racing to third is Beltre. And the Rangers, just like that, have the lead.
Quality at bats right there. First, Beltre, a 9-pitch at bat. Hit the ball hard, put it in play, spoiled tough pitches. And you could tell runner at third going on contact, put the third baseman under pressure, which is always good to do. And then Gallo right here. It doesn't always have to be a homer. Put a ball in play and good things can happen.
Gallo has driven in 68 runs, and whether you like RBIs or not, it's significant for Gallo, who seemingly would drive in himself, and that was it with solo homers early in his career. That has started to change.
And no shift is beating that.
No.
Kiner Falefa.
It's a great quality at bat. Lefty on lefty. Just stayed in and out, took what he gave him, base hit in the gap.
And that's that breaking ball too that he struggled so much. He missed that pitch by 2 feet a couple months ago.
Right.
Now he's staying on that ball so much better.
Not a lot of speed at third with Beltre. Gallo a short lead at first. Kiner Falefa fouls that one off. Isaiah Kiner Falefa, a native of Honolulu, in a proud line of Major League Hawaiians. We just saw Shane Victorino at the Phillies anniversary of their World Series team. Colton Wong, Kurt Suzuki, to name a few. Brandon League, a former reliever for the Mariners. And Kiner Falefa is a National League player in an American League uniform. He is extremely versatile. He's a plus defender at third. He can play up the middle. And of course, as we pointed out, he's catching today.
And Rich, even more importantly than that, we'll wait for this pitch because this is big.
Hit hard. Seager has it. Gordon turns it. And out at first. Gonzalez gets out of the inning. The Rangers rally for a couple runs and answer the Mariners' first inning.
You see Kyle Seager making up for the error, even though the run scored on the last one. But good to see that double play get Marco out of this inning because that pitch count was starting to tally up. There's a lot of pitches all over the place. Just back to my point real quick on Kiner Falefa. If you notice that hyphen in the back of his jersey, third player ever in the big leagues to have a hyphenated name. The first one sitting right next to you, Rich. How about that?
Who's the second?
Austin Bibbins-Dirks, who's down there as a pitcher on the Texas Rangers.
Oh, very nice. Steven Nelson does not have a hyphen in his name, but he's here with us trying to stay cool. Hi, Steven. How are you?
Hey, thanks, fellas. What up, Facebook? Good to see you again. I'm Steven Nelson. I'm your social media reporter / science experiment, because if you've ever wondered if a human can melt on a baseball field, you just might find out today. But I am thankful for those overcast skies the guys talked about earlier. I'm going to be roaming around Globe Life Park throughout the broadcast, checking in with you periodically. But right now, I want to set the social scene.
Hey, Trevor, what's up? Show me your step back. Show me your step back. Oh! Show me your step back. No. Show me your step back. Oh, crossing the answer. The answer.
Hey, bro, you thirsty? Crash. All right, then. You're on home plate, Crash. Move.
Well, come on, boys. There you go. Go ahead. I got you. All right. Have a good evening.
You know the fun part about being a dad? Changing poopy diapers. Changing that.
So the Mariners recently finished their season series with Toronto. And before the finale, Marcus Stroman made a young Jays fan's day or life because he surprised them with a VIP trip into the clubhouse, met Russell Martin. And Stroman does this a ton in the community in Toronto, but he's really taken it upon himself, like many athletes do, and you love to see it, using their platform to impact and inspire and encourage the next generation. So as we send it back up to the booth, I want to throw this at the comment section. What's your most memorable interaction with the player? Put that in the comment section, and we'll see what you guys got. But Rich, back to you.
All right, Steven, thank you for that. Seattle back to work in the second. Their 1-0 lead is gone. Giovanni Gallardo, this is in to Denard Span. You got Ryan Healy, Mike Zunino to follow. I would expect for you too, you had interaction with a major league player when you were a kid, and being in Australia, I'm curious to know your first interaction. That went a liner into right field. Span, who's played very well in a Mariner uniform, opens up this second. What, Mr. Holtz, what your first and most memorable major league interaction?
Good, let's use memorable because I'm too old to have too much interaction. Until I actually got to the big leagues, I got to meet my idol, George Brett, who I idolized and wanted to be like my whole career. When I finally got to meet him after a game, best thing that ever happened to me in my life.
Yeah, as a kid, remember when you're 7,000 miles away from any big league ballpark, you're basically pretty limited. But Dave Nilsson, David Holtz and I were talking about Dave Nilsson. He was a teammate of his back in the day, and I got to meet Dave coming back to Australia, and when he was with a Milwaukee Brewer, came back, and he was larger than life to me. I was like, man, that's a real big leaguer. They're very few and far between when you're back home in Australia, that's for sure.
Ryan Healy with Denard Span at first base. Gallardo was taxed in the first. He threw 27 pitches. And a bouncer to third. Turn there, nicely done. Odor on the feed from Profar.
Yeah,
just like that, Gallardo's got his 2 outs.
Was wanting to see which pitcher would bounce back and come out and have that shutdown inning, and there's the pitcher's best friend right there, especially after a hard hit ball to right.
Jurickson Profar getting the start at third base. And here is Zunino. Rangers into a shift for him. Mike Zunino is not to the same extent, but similar to a Joey Gallo in terms of low batting average with power, though he hasn't had as much power as Gallo. He's been hot lately. He did homer on Monday.
Yeah, when he's at his best, he's hitting the ball to right field, right center field, letting the ball travel, just like we talked about with Rougned Odor. It's important for him, let that ball travel. But you know what, he went through a big streak last year, a huge June in 2017. After having one of these stints where we've seen here in 2018, he's so streaky and it's just making those little adjustments. He's been hitting the ball a lot better lately, though.
Yeah, maybe that streak is starting for him because he's had put together a week of ball games, actually 10 games, which his average is well over 300. And even his outs on Monday were loud. And that's a good sign.
Yeah, he was missing pitches by a ton, especially breaking balls. Anything moving right on right, anything moving down on the way to him, he was missing by a ton. Now he's letting the ball travel a little bit. He's widened that stance, getting a little bit more comfortable in the batter's box.
Pops that one in the air. Guzman over, has room, and flat out drops it.
Doing him a favor right there. Guzman, he's usually pretty solid defensively, right?
That's what we were talking about, that he's out there for his defensive prowess. Rangy, saves balls, makes plays, can stretch into the splits, and then you go and do that. To me, he just didn't get to the wall. I mean, he was over there, but he kind of reached for it. You know, we're taught to find it, get there, and then catch it. But we'll see what happens right here.
Count 2-2. He will get an error on the play. And new life for Zunino.
You got one to hit right there.
Sure did.
94 down the middle. And Mike, too, has got so much power the other way. He's got so much power all over the field. But so much pop to that right center field gap. And again, when he's at his best, you'll see line drives into that right center field gap.
Pitch number 40 already, and that's not a good sign for Gallardo. It's down low. The count's full now at 3-2.
No, not on a day like today. It's humid. It's hot. It is overcast, but it's still a day game in Texas.
And he lost him. And that brings up Maben.
I think it goes back to your point too, David. You're talking about Gallardo nibbling, even 3-2 counts like that. A guy who has been struggling to be hitting a little bit better lately, but down in the order. That's when, as a starting pitcher, you really have to take advantage with 2 out to go after those guys down in the order.
Right, yeah, you can't blame him for the drop foul ball, but pitchers are taught. Sometimes we got to go out there and get 4 outs or 5 outs or 6 outs. But he just doesn't have the stuff, sometimes even 3-2, just to go right at him.
I could hear the audios of it. I could hear you guys talking through that phone. Now Maben, who's also been a nice addition. Jerry DiPoto's done a fine job putting this team together, and little touches like Maben, Denard Span have really helped. The big trade of a while ago that brought both Segura and Haniger have been enormous helps. But with the struggles of Felix Hernandez, Jerry DiPoto might not be done, as Maben takes a fastball that's in. This is July for DiPoto. Toy Vailala from the Cardinals, Adam Warren, Zach Duke. Now that addressed the bullpen. Maben has really been a nice help defensively in center field. And Cameron fouls that pitch off.
Yeah, the big ask really was at the trade deadline, can they add to that rotation? There really wasn't a whole lot out there, competition to put up with what they had their minor league system to go get it. So they started making those more marginal moves, trying to get the bullpen pieces back in there. And Cameron Maben, a guy who can help you at center field defensively. We saw that catch last night, Rich, off the wall. And also just better at bats. They're so big on getting those better at bats.
Maben, and running it down is Odor. And so Gallardo works around a leadoff hit and a walk. Now, why are we talking about acquiring another starter for the Seattle Mariners? That's because a guy that's been a fixture atop their rotation has had a miserable year, and that's Felix Hernandez.
You know, I watch Felix now. He just doesn't have the velocity.
High fly ball, backing up Gamble on the track, and that's flying out.
He's in the wall right now. He doesn't have any kind of stuff today.
So Mariners making an early change here, going to the pen here.
It's been a disastrous season for him. July was not good. The entire year has not been.
This one smashed out to center field. Felix Hernandez out there and clearly didn't have it. Stayed in the game and gave up a career-high 11 runs. It's not fun to watch him at this stage of his career struggling the way he is.
All right, so here are the numbers for Felix Hernandez. Such a great run atop the rotation. Just brilliant and almost invincible, which was made last night so hard to watch at times. A guy that seemingly was bulletproof, just had no answers. But in his last 3 seasons, the ERA is over 4.5. The WHIP is up. And we asked Scott Service when we met with him this morning, guys, what do you do when his spot is up in the rotation? And that's in Houston in what will be a crucial game, the last game of that series. And the skipper of the Mariners said we'll have to evaluate that when that day comes.
Yeah, that rotation spot has been in question the last 3 starts for him. He had a rough one back in LA against the Angels, gave up a bunch, and then he was kind of marginal last game too. 5 innings, 2 runs, but a lot of pitches. This is a guy who's just not able this year to put guys away, especially with 2 strikes. You see that pitch count rack up. I think for me, when you watch him pitch, it's the first time in his career, being dominant for 10 years, that doubt is trickled in and that second guessing of every single pitch. It's been tough to watch, but this is a guy, look, I still think there's enough left in the tank to have a sustainable career in the big leagues, but right now this is a big year for the Mariners. They're on that playoff push, only 2.5 games out of a playoff spot.
And one of the reasons that the free fall hasn't been even steeper is the guy on the mound. Marco Gonzalez, we talked about, has been really good the last couple months. And he fires a fastball for a strike on Guzman, the big first baseman. Got Willie Calhoun, a couple of lefty bats, and then the Rule 5er in Carlos Tocci. 7-8-9 in the Rangers order, and Guzman clubs one to right. Haniger tracking, and he makes the catch. Poll question on this Facebook Watch show. What do you do with Felix? Do you move him to the bullpen? Do you time to move on? I don't know that I would vote for that. I think you still keep him Still solid as a starter, just 16%. I think bullpen is the place to go if you indeed are going to extract him from the rotation.
Yeah, I think whatever move you make, it has to be in a positive light. It has to be something that can benefit him as opposed to being a punishment for him. Not saying, hey, you go sit and right down in the bullpen, you're not going to pitch anymore. Maybe that might be a good thing where he can get some shorter stints where the game's on the line, or just getting some of those blowout games and just getting a feel for those pitches again.
Yeah.
Calhoun is hit by the pitch, and the question was, did he swing? The home plate umpire, Phil Cuzzy, went down to Adam Hamry at third base. If it's a swing and he's hit, it's a strike. But on the appeal, Hamry said no swing. And now here's a look. It hit his arm.
Wow.
And I don't think he swung.
Well, I don't know, Rich looked pretty close when it came around trying to get out of the way of that.
Well, on that angle, it looked more clear. The other angle, this one, I'd say it hit him, and they're correct and take your base.
Now all 4 umpires are there. Look, the rule is, and it's one of the grayest areas of the rule book, as far as a swing, if in the umpire's judgment, the hitter makes an attempt to strike at the ball, it has nothing to do with does he break his wrist. It has nothing to do with does the bat cross the plane of the plate. It's in the umpire's judgment if he makes an attempt to strike at the ball. And that's, look, that makes it hard for umpires, right? It's not a real definitive rule. And now Scott Service, after talking to Phil Cuzzy is coming over, and he's going to talk to Jeff Bannister. Tom Hallion is the crew chief. He's in on the discussion as well.
This is a tough one, Rich, to your point as well. It looked like he was in ambush mode, just sitting dead red, and then boom, realized that pitch was in on his hand. So it's kind of a 50-50 where, hey, look, he was swinging and then getting out of the way.
Exactly.
Now Jeff Bannister's not real pleased. So this looks like it's going to go Seattle's way.
They can't make up their minds right here.
Phil Cuzzy is mic'd up. Oh, the challenge is, I think the challenge is, did it hit him or not? It clearly hit him. You can challenge that. You can't challenge check swing.
We're saying it didn't hit him, and we're saying it was a little roller.
No, he's out at first then.
Well,
if that's what you're saying, he's out at first.
Then if we're keeping it alive, then
he's out at first. Yeah. He's out at first base.
Ah. So the Rangers challenged. That's good work by the crew. Getting to hear that. That explains why the challenge came from the Texas side. It clearly didn't.
So they said it was a slow roller that
yes,
didn't hit him?
The umpires felt it was a slow roller. And here's another look. It clearly hits the forearm.
Instant replay can bail us out today. Right here.
And that's the nuance of this play. You can't challenge check swing.
Right.
You can't challenge foul tip, but you can challenge hit by pitch.
Oh, he was definitely geared up to swinging and put it into bailout.
Yeah. The key that you heard in that discussion, though, was no swing.
Right.
That's a situation too. Obviously with the video replay, you know that as soon as the umpire puts his arm up to say, yeah, he's out, thinking that ball rolled into play, you know that Bannister's going to be out there in 2 seconds. May as well go straight to that video.
Yes.
That's forearm to me. The odd part of this is, as you heard him say, no swing, and yet it was ruled a ball put in play. It's hard to marry those two together. As it turns out, it's going to be hit by pitch.
See Scott Service talking to the third base umpire. So it goes back to that check swing.
It's been overturned. call that.
Everyone and no one is happy.
Calhoun survives at first base. And here's Tochi, who's a terrific defensive outfielder and is somewhat of a project offensively. He is a Rule 5 draft pick. If you're not aware what that is, if you're not protected by an organization on a 40-man roster and you've been in the minor leagues enough, you can be drafted by another team, actually purchased by another team. Ground ball hit hard and fair and down the line and into the corner. Calhoun racing, ball kicks off the wall, and Tochi has just his second double of the season. And this is game number 44.
He's had, like we talked to Jeff earlier, and he was like, it's hard to find him time offensively. We can get him in defensively late in the game to make some plays, but we just don't have time for him offensively. So they, like I said, they've been working with him extra before games, seeing live pitching before games, and I guess it paid off today. He's making the most of his chances.
And it's tough too. Any Rule 5 situation is tough. It's tough on the organization. It's tough on the player as well. Here's a guy you have to carry on your 25-man roster. I was a Rule 5 pick with the Twins back in 2005. Didn't make the team, but just knowing what the team would have to go through for you to stick around.
Now, for those of you saying, hey, that was a foul ball, watch the ball, and the rule is it's where the ball goes over the base. It clearly goes over the base in fair territory, but it lands in foul territory after the base. And a big swing there by Profar. He's 0 for 1 with a ground out. So the Rule 5 draft pick, Carlos Tochi, once a team purchases that player from the other team, he must stay on the major league roster, or you have to offer him back to the team that you purchased him from. So the Rangers felt they weren't going to be in it, that they could keep him for a season, and they have. Profar a big swing and pounds that foul, and it's 1-2.
And even with that too, you've got to ask yourself with Tochi, a young player who could be a really big impact player in your organization. His development really suffers. It was interesting listening to Bannister before the game talking about how it's kind of like a practice squad situation where they're finding ways to get him sim games, workouts, things to keep him fresh, because next year they can then option him back and forth if they want, just like he's a regular player on the 40-man roster.
Gonzalez from the stretch, infield's back, fastball's in.
And sometimes that's tough to do, to go out early and see live pitching. They used to make us go into the Kingdome with very little light and face hard throwing lefties or guys coming off of rehab or stints, and it's not fun. It's hard to gear up for that too, to have the same level of adrenaline.
Sounds like it scarred you for life.
I did. I couldn't see. It was dark. It's hard enough to see in the Kingdome when it's light.
All right, big pitch here. Counts full, 3-2. Infield's back. Runners second and third. We're only in the bottom of the second. End of the bat and a soft pop to right. Haniger, good arm, makes the catch. Runner bluffs, and Haniger hits the cutoff man. And that's an important out to get for Gonzalez. Now he's got 2 outs, but he has to face one of the hottest hitters, not only on the Rangers, but also in the American League, in Rougned Odor. Andrus is on deck. First base is open, but you would expect Gonzalez, at least initially, to go after Odor.
That was a big out right there, to get the second out and to leave the guy on second and third, especially with these two coming up.
Now the shift with runners at second and third is not complete. As you can see, Gene Segura is still on the third base side of second. Odor a bunt hit on a breaking ball, his first time up.
Yeah, it's a tough spot for him because left on left. This is a situation you have to challenge him. Even though you got the open base down at first, but Andrus is really hot right now. Got a hitting streak going on. So there's a chance to see a good matchup. Marco Gonzalez has been tough on lefties all year long.
Good pitch there, and it's 1-1.
And Odor too, that's been the difference with him. You saw him early in the year. That's a pitch that he's coming out of his shoes trying to hit.
Right, and they wouldn't even have this. the shift would be all on the right side, but now that he's staying on some and hitting them that way.
And better numbers against lefties this year than righties. And he fouls it back. He's only 24, and that's the thing about these Rangers. They're key players. Odor's 24, Profar's 25, Gallo's 24, Guzman's 23, Kiner Falefa's 23. Willie Calhoun in the starting lineup is 23. One, two. In the air, Segura out. In comes Maben. And Maben is there and he makes the catch. And Gonzalez pitches around trouble in the second. All the runs in the first. Both pitchers survive the second. And a 2-1 Texas lead after 2. This date in baseball history. Let's go back 30 years.
Welcome to this historic first game at night, ever to be played at Wrigley Field. Age 91, Harry Grossman. The first pitch of the ball game. Look at the lights flickering all over Wrigley Field.
Beautiful. It's the most beautiful park in the world, and it's pretty under the lights too.
It's Marjana. She wants to kiss Sandberg.
I couldn't see anything, Harry. I lost her in the lights.
Swings a drive. Deep left field, way back. It might be. Hey! Ryan Sandberg. The first nighttime home run at Wrigley Field. Holy cow. Does this mean the game's been called?
No, it doesn't. They're going to wait some time. Diving exhibition by the Cubs.
This must be the California contingent of the Cubs. Look at the lights.
How cool is that? Not only lights at Wrigley Field, you've got Harry Carey calling the game, and Bill Murray was the analyst for that game.
Wow. For the entire game.
It sounded like it.
That's awesome.
It sounded like it. That was fun. All right, this copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Office of the Commissioner of Baseball, may not be reproduced, retransmitted in any form. Accounts and descriptions of the game may not be disseminated without the express written consent. We are in Arlington. Not as hot as we feared. Temperatures in the low 90s. Still cloud cover above. Rich Waltz, Ryan Roland Smith, David Hulse, Steven Nelson with us as well. Here's D. Gordon, top of the order for Seattle. Gordon flied to center his first time up, and D takes a strike. Neither starter, if they keep at this current pitch pace, is going to be here in the 6th or 7th inning. Both guys have thrown a lot of pitches. Gordon trying to bunt, and he's behind the count at 0-2. Segura and Haniger will follow. Seattle got their run in the first on a Haniger RBI single. The Rangers in the first against Marco Gonzalez got a couple of hits, and then another error by Kyle Seager. Joey Gallo RBI single made it 2-1. And a changeup, and he got him. 88.
You can see Kiner Falefa throwing down the 2 for that breaking ball, and then Gallardo, who's had such a good changeup his entire career. See right here, it looks like a breaking ball, a little slider. Here's that hard 88-mile-per-hour slider, just enough to get D. Gordon.
Well, that fooled me. It didn't break a whole lot.
No.
Right, almost cutter-like.
Yeah, and that's that pitch with Gallardo. He throws a hard breaking ball. Even his curveball's high in velocity, but that's that pitch that has that depth, that straight down movement.
An interesting discussion with Jeff Bannister about Gallardo. And Bannister was on Clint Hurdle's coaching staff in Pittsburgh when Gallardo was in his prime in the same division in Milwaukee. Segura takes out. And he talked about pitching to the game and pitching to the score. And Gallardo, he felt, is one of the guys that during his career has done that well. Out to second. And what he was trying to communicate, he said, look, most guys are, you know, pedal to the metal, max effort for 5-6 innings, all you got. And he said Gallardo is more of a game manager.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, well, I was just going to say, it's rare too nowadays, because the way front offices work, everything's on paper. It's all sabermetrics and what's happening in front of me on a piece of paper. And I feel like that old school mentality about wins and staying in games, it's rare. I feel like the Texas Rangers is one of those last teams to have that thought process, especially with the coaching staff and the front office.
Right, and just looking at this inning, the last inning, he got the double play to help. Right here, he goes away, he goes in, and he throws a breaking ball, 1, 2, 3, gone. Gets the next guy out. Limiting damage here. Now he's ahead, like you said, and he's getting in control of this game.
Now, good run support will help, and he certainly has had a lot of run support. I mean, he's 6-1, but the ERA is over 5. I think Jeff Bannister was referencing more along the lines of his career. You look at his body of work as a Brewer. To right, Gallo backing up, ball carrying still, and all the way to the warning track, and Haniger is out. That's a 9-pitch inning, much needed for Giovanni Gallardo, and a rarity here in a ball game that's had a lot of traffic on the field. Let's hope everybody's all right down there in right field. Last night, of course, the Mariners in extra innings won Game 1. Last night, it was a battle between two legends, really, King Felix and Bartolo Colon.
Holy smokes! Cruz and Seager go back-to-back. Cruz down the left field line, Seager down the right field line. Bottom of the second, and third baseman Adrian Beltre will lead it off against Felix.
Oh, made him look bad, too. Not only did he strike him out,
Felix had to laugh at that one. It's now the Rangers 5 and the Mariners 4. We head to the bottom of the 5th.
Profar with a 3-run shot. Rangers lead it 8-4. So the Rangers have a base runner on here in the 6th inning, and Rougned Odor coming to the plate. Odor smashes this one. It's gone!
First pitch to Beltre.
This ball is hammered to center. Gone! Adrian Beltre off his good buddy Felix Hernandez.
2 outs, Maven at third. Here is D. Gordon. Belongs pitch to D, coming home.
Come back around. What do you know?
I'd say 10%, now maybe less than that, of pitchers catch that ball.
Well, Bartolo Colon, close to history.
He will lead the game after 7 innings with that 11-4 lead.
Little scribber down to first. Profar takes it to the bag, and that completes it. And Bartolo Colon stands alone at the top of the heap, the all-time winningest pitcher in Latin American history.
Eclipsing El Presidente, Dennis Martinez at 245. On-demand highlights and highlight packages for every regular season game are available on Facebook Watch. Weekly recaps as well for all 30 teams. All on Facebook Watch. All right, Latin-born pitchers. Bartolo now at 246. Dennis Martinez, Juan Marichal, the Dominican dandy, Luis Tiant, and our own Pedro Martinez, MLB Network. And those are their win totals.
Yeah, Big Bart came out so hot this season. Everybody thought he's going to the All-Star game. He's this and that. And then the team kind of sputtered a little, and it took him a few games, but it was good to see him get that last night.
Yeah, the game completely flipped. If you watch the first 2 innings and left or turn the channel, you thought Bartolo's in for a long night and Felix is okay tonight, and it changed dramatically.
You talk about Felix resurrecting his career, getting a chance to take a note out of Bartolo Colon. This is a guy, he's throwing the upper 90s, guys, when he first burst onto the scene. Just pure stuff, fastballs up in the strike zone, and just absolutely reinvented himself for that sinker. 86 to 88 down and away all day long.
Almost just all fastballs. Telling, running fastball, 90%. And he gets away with it because, like you said, he's learned how to master it and he's learned how to pitch.
So where do you go as that pitch is down low to Elvis Andrus? Where do you go if you are a guy like Felix? to learn how to get outs without the mid-90 velocity to set up the changeup.
Look, I'm still a big believer with Felix when it comes to, everyone talks about
into left, and that'll fall for a hit for Andrus.
Yeah, everyone talks about the lack of velocity or the decline in velocity. Look, I've seen this guy at his best when he was 90 to 93 miles per hour. I still think there's plenty left in the tank to be a stuff guy, meaning that if he can go out and sacrifice that off-season, get around peers, get around guys like, for example, Corey Kluber works with Eric Cressy on the East Coast. Go somewhere for a good 3 or 4 months, sacrifice some time, and just be around peers and find what it is.
To me, the key word is not velocity, it's not stuff, it's command.
Yeah.
And it's fastball command first and foremost as Beltre stands in.
And this is as old school as it gets, but my rookie season, Nolan Ryan was in his declining years in the mid-40s. And being the dominant fastball, curveball, just electric stuff, just like Felix had his whole career, and not having to worry about having the swagger to go out and dominate, he reinvented himself. He came up with a changeup, and that got him through his 40s, and he became the most dominant 40 to 45-year-old in the major leagues.
And the biggest thing, too, with Felix this year, they wanted him to use more of the secondary stuff. I think with Felix, that mindset for him was pitching defensively, as opposed to still having that attack. Felix is so good, and made him so good because obviously stuff, but also, too, having that conviction and that presence on the mound. Throwing that fastball down the way with that thought process that you ain't going to do anything with this pitch. I think in spring training when they talked about utilizing the changeup and curveball, he got into defense mode a little bit, and that has snowballed, especially mentally with him where he's not attacking like he used to.
Right. And he even admitted last night he couldn't command the fastball, and it was up and in the zone.
Yeah.
And up and in the zone is going to get pounded.
Great command there, and a great pitch on an 0-2 for Marco Gonzalez as he strikes out Adrian Beltre. Joey Gallo comes up now. It's the first strikeout for Gonzalez.
And this is that cut fastball. This is that pitch in spring training, which was, you know what, let's add a pitch to get second, third time through the lineup. And this pitch has been a game changer. That's that backdoor cutter that Marco Gonzalez has such good command of.
Here's Gallo now. Line drive single in the first. Shift is on. And Gallo in launch mode, deep right, and gone. A 2-run shot. His 30th.
Everyone is delighted now. They all came to see that. There it is. It's good at bat again. 2 quality at bats, lefty on lefty.
And that's just pure, that's that cutter up in the strikes, and that's just pure mistake hitting at its best from Joey Gallo, and that's what he does. You look at that batting average all day long, but it's the mistakes that he crushes, and he's getting more and more of them of late because the pitchers just cannot expand the zone like they used to be able to on Joey Gallo.
It's 415 feet of home run for Gallo. He's driven in 3, and a liner into right field into the corner. And Isaiah Kiner-Falefa's got extra bases. Haniger digs it out of the corner. And for Marco Gonzalez, he's not had a start like this in a long time. He's been really, really good with an ERA in the mid-2s over his last 2 months.
Yeah, and what crept in last start is you see this pitch out over the plate. Hitters are starting to be more aggressive. The Toronto Blue Jays in his last start were jumping on the first, second pitch against Marco Gonzalez, and that's that get me over mentality from him because he's had so much success of mixing things up and keeping guys off balance. But when he gets one-dimensional like that, that's when the damage comes.
Hey, show me your balls. Yeah, that's it. Right here, look at me, there you go. Good.
See Mel Stottlemyre, him and Marco have such a good relationship this year, working on things. This is just to give him a breather, let that heart rate drop just a little bit. He's gone through a tough situation right here that, again, like you said, Rich, this is something he hasn't dealt with much in July and in August.
And the lefty bats have hurt him in the lineup. Gallo with the 2 hits and homer and 3 RBIs. Remember the drag bunt by Odor. He hit Calhoun, another lefty, which was a big play. And the pitch misses out.
And even Guzman hit the ball hard his first at bat, just a line drive that was caught.
And pitch number 50 coming here with 1 out in the bottom of the 3rd. Ooh, that one took the mask of Mike Zunino off. If you're a Mariner fan and you're watching this, you've watched enough baseball in this ballpark to know that no lead is safe.
No.
It's early in the game. It's a day game in Arlington, and your ball club can get back in it with just a couple of swings.
Yeah, the 3-run lead is not going to cut it today.
No, it's hot.
Yeah.
It's humid. The ball will fly out of here.
Breaking ball again hit hard by a lefty and over the glove of Gordon and into right field. Guzman knocks in a run. Kiner Falefa scores.
Everything from Marco Gonzalez right now. Every pitch is up in the strike zone. Just doesn't have that finish or that good late life to that cutter and that breaking ball. 2 pitches that he can usually get out, get that good extension, get that late life. Look at this, that pitch staying up in the strike zone, and Guzman had no problems with that. Even beating the shift too. D. Gordon playing out.
He was. He was
right field.
Now Calhoun. Another lefty bat. He shoots that in the gap left center field. Maben trying to chase it down. Guzman rolling towards 3rd. He'll hold there. And Calhoun has a double. And the Rangers are going to town right now.
It's all lefties too. It's amazing. The lefty on lefty. But it's like he's saying right now, Ryan, that the cutter's not cutting. It's staying up in the zone. It's just not sharp. And he's just not having command. And hey, there's going to be days like that.
Yeah, and look, this is so, you know, when you're talking about young hitters, these are young, bunch of 22, 23, 24-year-old kids out there, which the approach doesn't come into play until their 2nd, 3rd, 4th year in the big leagues. And this is what you see. Ambush mode, they see the guy in front of him doing it, gets contagious, and they start crushing.
You can see Seattle's got their infield in. And you've got Tochi, the light-hitting center fielder, who pulled one down the 3rd base line for just his 2nd double of the season.
You're right. These are young, aggressive hitters. They're going to do everything they can to impress and fight their way into the lineup, so it's a everyday thing and not just an occasional or when someone needs rest or is hurt.
Tochi had a key bunt last night. He was trying to sacrifice, but his bunt was so good it ended up as a base hit.
You see the infield playing in as well. Look, it's 5-1. Any other ballpark, usually you'd play him back because the game's starting to get out of reach. But again, this is Texas. This is his lead is not going to last if the Mariners offense can get going against Gallardo.
This is a very fast infield. So when you play in as an infielder, you're not up near the grass. Squeezes on and he drops it down, but it rolls foul. Guzman was coming. He broke perfectly. Didn't tip the hand of the Rangers, and Tochi just missed getting it down.
There's your example of no lead is safe here at this ballpark right now. We're squeezing to try and get runs across the plate because there's a lot of ball game left.
Which is rare in 2018, especially in the 3rd inning.
But when you have a guy like Tochi, who's had trouble, now he is hot right now, and he did double. But for a guy like that, you're trying to put him in a position to succeed.
Exactly, because anybody else would probably be going for the 3-run bomb right now.
He does hit lefties well, hitting 300, 20 at-bats against lefties. You know what? Do what you got to do.
He's a 22-year-old Venezuelan who was in the Phillies organization for 5 years. The White Sox originally on the Rule 5 drafted him, but quickly sent him to Texas. That's strike 3 called. Phil Cuzzy rings him up. Big strikeout for Gonzalez as he tries to leave 2 out there.
This is the cutter again, trying to backdoor that pitch. You can see where Mike Zunino set up, but enough movement, enough of that late life on that pitch to freeze Tochi. That's a big out. Especially too when you've been giving up hit after hit, especially down in this bottom half of this order. Frustration sets in, so you have to go pitch to pitch. It's a big out.
Here's Profar now, infield back obviously with the 2 outs. Profar, one of the many talented infielders that have come from the Dutch Antilles, the Netherlands, if you will, those islands, Curacao. Although Profar's arrival was marred by injuries. He missed a couple of seasons with injuries, shoulder in 14, a labrum in 15, surgery on the labrum. That's a hard surgery for any baseball player, whether it's a pitcher or a position player. But it seems like this year he's finally healthy and productive, and he's played everywhere.
That's the key. I'm more impressed by his versatility on defense. Being able to spell Beltre at third when he needs a rest, or when Anders is hurt, he could play short, or when Odor, he can play anywhere. He could play the outfield. And the offense right now is just a bonus, but it is the stuff that people wanted to see when he first came up. The full package of Jurickson and Profar.
Yeah, there was so much hype about this kid, and it's tough. He came up as a shortstop. Elvis Andrews has got that position locked in, and then Andrews went down early in the year, a couple DL stints, and he gets a chance to play on a consistent basis. That's the hardest thing for young prospects, to come up and get a chance to play every single day.
That's a strike, and the count evens at 2-2. And Jeff Bannister feels that there's a real healthy competition. Odor and Profar right now kind of pushing each other, because he can't play second base right now. That's right. Odor's spot. Right. So Profar's seen time at first. He was there last night. He's at third today. And Zunino has to smother that. Gonzalez, if he doesn't get Profar, then has to face Odor.
And this is just a good example of that Profar. This is a really good at-bat, laying off some tough pitches. We didn't see this when he first came up. Ultra aggressive, and you can expand the strike zone on him. And that's been the difference.
Long, long inning for Gonzalez. 25th pitch of the inning. To right, and Haniger has a line on it and makes the catch. But the Rangers put 3 across, including a 415-foot Joey Gallo job to right center field, his 30th. And the Rangers have a 5-1 lead as we get ready for the 4th. And joining us now is the skipper of the Texas Rangers, Jeff Bannister. Skip, thanks for visiting with us. Boy, we talked a lot about your young players earlier this morning, and they've been on display here, especially your right fielder, Joey Gallo.
For sure. You know, we talked about the difference between him hitting into the shift, hitting the ball in the air. And I think that's proven out here for him today. Look, we know that he's got great power, but when he gets the ball in the air, he's pretty exceptional.
What's it been like managing a team that's so young? It seems like everyone's 23 or 24, 25.
Well, there's a lot of energy in the clubhouse. There's a lot of energy on the field. You got to have a great sense of patience. But there still needs to be an urgency about winning baseball games and what things you got to do. And some of the different things today, when you look at, we've got a couple different offensive situations where we had an opportunity to have some productive outs, and we didn't. You know, there's a situation where we had a play over here at first base, and Guzman gets to the rail, makes that catch. You know, we don't have those extra pitches on our starter today. So there are a couple different things that you got to have great patience with. But look, these guys, they bring great energy. They don't believe they can get beat. It's a learning experience for all of them.
Hey, Jeff, we're just talking about Jurickson and Profar, and how there's so much hype about this kid when he came up, not really getting a chance to have to play shortstop. What's been the difference for him of late? Because he's starting to show that flashes of brilliance.
Well, it's a great story to begin with. You know, a guy that came up with some great flash and notoriety, but listen, he got hurt. I think it's just the biggest deal for him is just being able to play. And knowing coming into this year that he was going to be an everyday player in a sense, and being able to move around, and he's become more comfortable with it.
Yeah, and finally, now's the time we talked earlier about Giovanni. When he gets the lead, he is that pitcher. We just talked about it, and he has settled down the last 2 innings. The double play was his best friend, and then that quick inning, 9-pitch inning was a big difference maker. And it looks like what we talked about is coming true.
For sure. You know, when he gets a lead, he knows how to pitch with it. He's not as stingy. I'm sure that you'll see him attack the strike zone a little more. If it's a close game, he's very stingy with his strike ratio. He'll pitch around to keep his team in the game. What I love most about him is he knows how to pitch and manage the game from the mound.
All right, Skip, thanks for the visit. And if we don't see you, good luck the rest of the way.
Outstanding, guys. Thank you very much.
All right, Jeff Bannister, and skipper of the Texas Rangers. And his Rangers right now, if you're just joining us, have a 5-1 lead over the Mariners in what is a, it almost feels like every game is a crucial game for the Mariners. They were in the driver's seat with the wild card spot, an 11-game lead over Oakland in mid-June. And of course, Oakland on that incredible ride now has a 2-game lead. Oakland plays tonight against the Dodgers. Both teams, Seattle and Oakland, lost last night. Nelson Cruz, Kyle Seager, Denard Span against Gallardo. And Cruz lifts it. Odor drifting into right center. And he makes the catch. Here are the wild card standings current on the right, but look at where they were on June 15th. Look how far Oakland was back, and look at where the Athletics and Bob Melvin are sitting right now.
Yeah, this isn't a great reminder if you're a Mariners fan. When you look at this, it's kind of makes you sick to your stomach sometimes if you're watching this. But yeah, look, everyone talks about the Mariners' decline in the last month or so, but if you look at that, they're 2 games back. They're right in this thing, and you know how it works with that second wild card spot. It always comes down to that last week of the season.
Here is Seager now. I guess that's the big question. Can Oakland sustain the level at which they're playing? That was the question about Seattle and their great start.
Right. The only team that's done this consistently all year is Boston, but nobody's Boston right now. So Oakland very easily can have that little swoon or that struggle too.
That ball is cranked into the corner off the bat of Seager, and it's a foul ball.
What I do like is that even in this stretch they've been in, they've had help to keep them in this thing. And if they would look at it from the positive side, the Yankees got swept. The Rangers swept the Astros. Things like that have been happening even in their struggles. And if they could turn this around and get back on track, like we said, they're in it to win it. But I did look at August, and it could be one of, if not the toughest schedule in Major League Baseball.
Yeah. That's good looking there by you, because it is. Statistically, Seattle has one of the toughest finishes. Seager pulls that ball to the right side.
I mean, the good news, you do have the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks who are playoff contenders there, but the other ones are head-to-head games. 7 with the Astros, 5 with the A's this month.
Yeah. And 10 total. So they've got 10 with Houston, 10 with Oakland, and it, to your point, how you want to look at it. It's tough because those teams are good, but it's also beneficial because if you do get hot and you do win those games, you make up ground immediately.
Yeah, and right after the series, you see Houston Astros going straight into Houston. You run into a buzzsaw starting pitching. Justin Verlander, Charlie Morton, Dallas Keuchel are all scheduled to pitch against the Seattle Mariners. So it's going to be tough. And again, this is going to come down to who can sustain enough with that starting pitching, in my opinion. I think the Mariners offense is going to get back on track, especially with Robinson Cano coming in that Oakland series. But it's definitely tough, that last graphic where you saw the Oakland A's 11 games back. And now you look, unbelievable. It's amazing.
It's funny how a narrative changes. A month ago, everyone was talking about how Seattle might be better off without Cano. They were playing better without him, and then reality sets in, and the offense cools down, and now they can't wait for him to get back next week in that series in Oakland. That's a 1-2-3 inning by Giovanni Gallardo. He certainly is managing this lead right now. The Rangers on top as we head to the bottom of the fourth. 11-pitch inning by Gallardo. It's 5-1. Seattle, after this ball game, is headed to Houston, as we talked about. And they finished this road trip in Oakland. And the Mariners bring with them a guy that has, as we watch the Hall of Fame ceremonies this year, I think everybody is pretty sure that he will be there next year. And he joins us now, Edgar Martinez. Hi, Edgar. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good, 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 good. Let's start with your hitters, shall we? First of all, Gene Segura is a guy that I know that you've worked with a lot. He had a terrific start. What do you see with him right now?
Well, he feels like he's not using his hand. I'm sorry, but I have an echo right here.
Oh.
I wonder if he take a piece.
How's the echo now?
1 second. No, it's still there.
Well, we apologize for that. If we could fix Edgar's headset.
Yeah, he's talking about starting off with Gene Segura. This is a big cog in this lineup. When you look at the beginning of the year when they were going off offensively, D. Gordon and Gene Segura was that 1-2 punch. They were creating havoc, and you can see the at-bats for that third hole, Robinson Cano, when he was playing, and also Nelson Cruz were getting better at-bats because they were always consistently on base, and they can steal a bag. This guy needs to get going if this offense wants to come back.
Now, Hall of Fame, we were talking about Hall of Fame. He just missed the Hall of Fame this year, and you would expect that next year, 2019, we're going to get, I'm sure there will be no echo at the Hall of Fame when Edgar is making his acceptance speech.
Definitely, and I did some stat checking too. I looked at, I went back to Pudge. Similar because one played 18 and one played 21 years. The numbers are almost identical, except that Pudge was probably one of, if not the best catcher in the world. But
that's a good sign. Edgar is with us now. We apologize for the echo. Glad you're back. Tell us about Segura. What do you see with him right now?
Well, he feels like he's not using his hands. It's kind of time is off. So we've been working in the cage, trying to throwing firm inside so he can pull the ball the right way, and that should help him, react outside too. So today he felt better at the cage. Also yesterday we worked extra, so he looks a little better today. So hopefully he gets going.
Now a great year by Nelson Cruz. The meat of your order has been terrific this year. Haniger and Cruz, you have to be pretty proud of them as a hitting coach.
Yes, I mean, the veteran knows himself really well. They know himself. They know themselves well. And when something is off, they can work and adjust. So, yeah, lately they've been great.
Hey, Edgar, this is Ryan Rowland-Smith. Hey, when you have new guys come to the organization, you've got Cameron Maybin, Ryan Healy coming in this first year, Denard Span. How big of a deal is it for you to create that relationship where you guys build that sense of trust so you can talk about at-bats and talk about the little things?
Yeah, it's important, building the relationship. Luckily, they're great guys. They're very open to opinions, suggestions. They tried different things, and that is very helpful. Sometimes the players have their own ways, but they're very open to everything, and that helps a lot.
That ball's into left. Denard Span will have room. Edgar, on our telecast, we have fans that ask questions, and one fan wanted to ask this question of you. Is there anyone in the game today on your team or on any other teams that reminds you of you? Is there any hitter in the game that reminds you, has a swing or similar things that you saw in yourself?
Well, I think that swing path of Trout obviously have a lot more power. He's really consistent, but his swing, the way the bat goes to the zone is similar, and the way he uses his legs, it's also similar. But obviously, he's much talented, much power, and I think better hitter. So, but his mechanics, especially the swing paths, have some similarities.
Now we're watching a guy at the plate that's going to be a Hall of Famer, and we're speaking with a guy that's going to be a Hall of Famer. Did you watch the ceremonies and the speeches this year thinking about what might be next year?
I listened just bits and pieces. I was pretty much in the cage with the guys, but yeah, I didn't hear the completed speeches of most of the guys, but what I heard is a great job by everyone.
Well, go back to work. Your team gets to hit here. Thank you for the visit. We apologize for the echo, but terrific to visit with you. Edgar Martinez, thank you.
All right, take care, guys.
Okay. That's pretty cool. Swing path of Mike Trout.
Yeah, about that. But I like how he disclaimed that at the end, saying that he's got way more power and a lot more talent, which I don't quite necessarily agree with. I mean, when you watch Edgar hit.
No, his swing was effortless. Trout's looks so violent because he hits the ball so hard. Edgar could hit it anywhere, and it was so fluid and balanced and effortless.
All right, we've been talking about Seattle. Now, they were ahead of Oakland. Now they're chasing Oakland. What happened to the Oakland Athletics since mid-June? Here's a look and a listen.
Big news in baseball, the Oakland A's.
The Athletics have been unbelievable lately.
It's a scary team.
In the pitch is swung on a fly ball right center, and the A's have won it. It'll be a single for Lucroy. That doesn't matter. The A's have won the game.
You look at what the Oakland A's are doing. The young dudes that are hitting the ball out of the ballpark, and they score runs in bunches.
I think they're young, they're starting to believe, and they're good.
Chapman down the left field line, and that baby is gone.
A line drive home run for Matt Chapman.
Oakland is the only team that is undefeated this season when leading after 7 innings. A big part of that has been the back end of their bullpen.
And the ball game's going to be over. Crawford missed it, Simeon scores, and the A's walk off again.
The A's, they've done an excellent job. They got a great manager. Bean knows what he's doing. They got a lot of offense, and they got an outside shot of making a postseason.
And here are the Athletics in their last 44 games. You see the runs, the jump by a full run, the starters ERA, bullpen's been outstanding, and they've beaten teams in the West. Now, here's something that's not on that graphic and not listed there. And I want since you see a lot of the Athletics as a broadcaster for the Seattle Mariners, and it's something that Jeff Bannister, the skipper of the Rangers, pointed out today as Ryan Healy steps in against Giovanni Gallardo. Oakland is a vastly improved defensive team.
Right.
And, you know, Chapman is kind of the guy that gets all the highlights. But around that defense, Oakland has made a huge improvement.
And it's so important, too. And Oakland are winning a lot of one-run games like we saw with the Mariners early in the year. When you have a bunch of one-run games like that, defense is so important, and it's so easy to overlook. Obviously, in today's game, you know, with the power and velocity and everything else, defense, you know, it takes a back seat, but man, it is huge.
And that's one of the things that Bannister pointed out, that the Rangers are really trying to, as they have this young, talented group. The challenge for the Rangers is easy to see, and that's pitching. Is developing pitching. Most of their top pitching prospects are down in the low minor leagues. So as they try to piece together a rotation, Bannister told us today that, hey, we need to be better defensively, and we're getting there. We have better athletes on the field. We have guys in position that can really play defense, and he feels that that's part of the Rangers moving back towards the top of the West.
Yeah, and you can get those guys that have that. You talked about the young athletic players, these guys who have that extra range in the outfield, the guys who can pick it, obviously, and even just eliminate holes all over the infield. That all that does is just put that extra little icing on the cake for pitching. It stops those big innings, and this is a ballpark that pitching is going to be hard to come by. The ball flies, it's hot, and you see guys getting knocked out, starting pitching especially, getting knocked out in the 5th and 6th inning with big leads, and defense makes a huge difference when you can run balls down.
Mike Zunino is up, counts 2-1. Giovanni Gallardo threw a lot of pitches early, but he's cruised to the last 2 innings, and a fastball is fouled back.
Yeah, he has, and you still see these deep counts. You're still seeing 2-1 counts. Still seeing mistakes. On the flip side of that, with the Mariners, I feel like there's just that element of urgency with them, just trying to do a little bit too much. And this is the difference too. When you're talking to Edgar Martinez, one of the best of putting together good at bats. That's really been the difference the last month and a half.
So Nino's been swinging it well. He walked his first time up. David Holtz, we did not take his headset away from him. David stepped into the social media suite, as they call it. He's now in the comment section, and so if you have a Rangers question or any question for David Holtz, the pride of San Angelo, Texas, have at it. About balls hit deep. Tochi back at the wall, reaches up, and it's gone. Mike Zunino has homered again, 15 on the season. And a great sign for the Mariners. Their catcher is hot.
And that's that opposite field power we talked about with Mike Zunino early in the game. When he let the ball travels and lets that swing fly go through the strike zone, you see a lot of that. Check out the pitch from Gallardo. That's that mistake, that down and away, that breaking ball. And look at this. I mean, this is absolutely crushed. Again, the ball flies in this park, but you have to be a strong man to hit the ball literally straight away center field or just to the right of it and get that ball out.
Speaking of getting the ball out, I don't know if somebody tossed it or the ball has appeared out because it just got over the wall.
Did he throw that ball back in frustration or what?
I don't know that the ball got up into that row of seats, but now it's there, and I don't think it's coming back. They've been lined out his first time up, and he takes outside. Maben was a Marlin for the first half of the season.
Gallardo just, I love what Jeff Bannister said, being stingy. Nothing is in the middle of the plate right now, but that breaking ball that Mike Zunino hit was still a good pitch down the way, but that's how strong Mike Zunino is. Get that pitch.
Gallardo working here in the fifth in a 5-2 game. He's approaching 80 pitches. That one popped up. Guzman gives way. Odor is there, and he makes the play, and there's 2 outs.
It's that third look the Mariners are going to get from Gallardo. Third time through the lineup, he has struggled. Offense hitting around 300, third time through. A lot of that too is because he is stingy, as Jeff Bannister puts it, and he shows every pitch from the get-go. So now D. Gordon's got a good look at that breaking ball, that changeup. It's going to be interesting to see where he goes from here. He's at that 79 pitch mark.
Now Gordon was flied out and struck out. And D takes a strike. Roller out to second, Odor to first, and Gallardo gives up a solo shot to Mike Zunino, but is still on top, as are the Rangers. Zunino to center. Mariners have their second run, but the Rangers have a 5-2 lead. Next week, Robinson Cano is back after a lengthy suspension for violating Major League Baseball's performance-enhancing drug policy. Here's a look back at that situation.
Huge story. Robinson Cano suspended for 80 games.
He's going to wear this as a scarlet letter for the rest of his career.
He cannot play in the playoffs.
It's the face of the franchise player.
Testing positive for furosemide.
This is not a performance-enhancing drug. He released the following statement. I obviously now wish that I had been more careful.
Anything that you put in your body, you have to make sure that it's on the approved list.
For a player to say he did not realize at the time he was taking a banned substance, it's inexcusable.
Well, of course, the career that he had up until the suspension, it started with the Yankees, 9 seasons there, a world championship, a big contract, comes over to Seattle, provides immediate impact not only in the lineup, but just for the status of the organization. 8-time All-Star, Silver Sluggers. He's got 3,000 hits within reach. He's signed through 2023. The challenge for the Mariners and Cano is assimilating him back into the clubhouse and back into the lineup. They definitely need the pop.
Yeah.
It's never easy when a player does come back from a drug suspension like that.
Yeah, it's interesting, and you're right too. You're touching on he's coming into a clubhouse which is pretty volatile at the moment because they've been struggling. It's easy to have that good, positive clubhouse when things are going well, but they've been on a huge skid. The A's have caught up to them. So it's going to be an interesting situation when he comes back into that clubhouse. But like you said, where are you going to put him in the infield? D. Gordon slid back to second base. So it's a matter of putting him over at first, maybe place him third. But you have to get him back in the lineup.
You saw that Mariner fan group. They feel, the Mariner fans, overwhelmingly that he will add and really be a nice jump start, so to speak, for the offense. But you're right. They're going to have to be creative. He's been playing at first base in the minor league games in Tacoma. Gallo's up now. He's homered, a 2-run shot, and an RBI single, and he's looked good against the lefty Marco Gonzalez. Big shift is on. You got 2 infielders out in right field, and now Seager moves over, and he's going to join him on that right side. He gets jammed, but he lifts it down the line, and it's deep, and a leap, and it's gone. It gets out of here. Haniger made a leap. Gallo has another homer, and the Rangers lead it 6-2.
That just goes to show how much pop Joey Gallo has. That pitch, he was jammed, that was on the handle. Looked like a lazy fly ball down the right field line, and that ball just carried all the way over that right field little gap right there by the foul pole.
Yeah, the angle of the wall here is to Gallo's advantage. Haniger ran out of room. Look where that pitch is.
Yeah, right on his hands, and that's that pitch up and in, which he does struggle left on left. He can swing right through that pitch, but man, it just shows how much pop he has when that pitch is down the handle, still able to get out.
So Gallo has driven in 4 of Texas's 6 runs. Here's a look at Haniger. And it was just out of his reach. That ball scorched into the left field corner. Kiner Falefa racing for second. And a big turn there. And a big day for him. 2 for 3, and he gets the start behind the plate.
A lot of hard contact off Marco Gonzalez right now. I talked about earlier, just not having that finish. He had that quick 4th inning, got the team back in the dugout, but just having that finish on his pitches, especially that cut fastball on his curveball. Some of this too, let's take a look at this pitch. That pitch is middle cutter going into the barrel. Not doing much at all, but talked a lot about too with the Mariners, trying to limit his innings. He's around the 130 pitch mark in territory that he's never really been in. You have to ask yourself, is it fatigue setting in with Marco Gonzalez at the moment? And the first thing to go, Rich, when that fatigue sets in is the command. Try and do a little bit too much, and that's when you start seeing those quality pitches turn into middle hittable pitches.
Now Ronald Guzman, 6'4", 230-pound first baseman. That's deep to Gordon's right and safe. And that's a case of overshifting. Gordon was deep. Guzman can run. He's athletic. And it's not like he's a big lefty slugger that's slow to first. And it cost the Mariners. Gordon backhanded it and got it to first as quickly as he could.
Yeah, you usually see that power-hitting first baseman can't run, but there's a lot of guys. Even Joey Gallo can run a lot. That kind of took D. Gordon by surprise. Not that he played too far back on that, but it did take him by surprise when he looked at his peripheral and saw Ronnie Guzman right and getting down the line. Moving.
Willie Calhoun now, runners at the corners. Infield playing back right now. There's nobody out. And Gonzalez now at 79 pitches.
Tui Vilala, new Mariners acquisition, the bullpen getting loose. It's been a situation too. The last couple of nights, the bullpen's been used. First night when Wade LeBlanc pitched. 6 relievers pitched.
And it's rolled up the middle, might be 2. Gordon flips, Segura turns in time. The Rangers get a run as Kiner Falefa scores. No RBI for Calhoun. And the lead is stretched to 7-2.
Marco Gonzalez, he's at that 80 pitch mark. The last couple starts, he hovered around that 80 pitch, and that's something Scott Service wanted to limit with him, not quite getting to that 100 pitch threshold, and that was to try and to limit that that work from Marco so he can be fresh in September on this playoff run. But again, when you're watching him pitch today, it looks like a little bit of that fatigue factor might be coming in. Plus, it's pretty warm out here, Rich.
It could be a lot warmer, I mean, really, without the overcast skies, we might be pushing triple digits. Gonzalez 11 earned runs in the last 11 innings, and that one is fouled back and out of play. And as we pointed out, Gonzalez has kind of been the ace over the last month and a half, 2 months. But right now, you don't know where to point the finger in Seattle's struggles.
Yeah.
There's enough blame to go around, whether it's the offense, whether it's the rotation. Back end of the bullpen is still really, really good, and it's been a strong point from the very start.
Yeah.
Obviously with Edwin Diaz.
Yeah, and also the other part of this is too, Wade LeBlanc's another guy who's having a breakout year, but you have to factor in the amount of the workload he's had. Early in the year, he's throwing a ton of innings. Obviously, Felix Hernandez is not the same this year, dealing with a lot. James Paxton trying to keep him healthy.
Strike 3 called as Tochi goes down and Gallo goes deep again. 2 home runs by Joey Gallo. He's driven in 4. It is 7-2 Texas headed to the 6th and headed to a new ballpark. It will be the Texas Rangers in 2020. And with more on that, our Steven Nelson. Steven?
Yeah, Rich, here at the observation deck at the very end, beyond the right field foul pole at Globe Life Park, looking at the construction of Globe Life Field and Texas Live, as you can see, which is going to be a multi-use entertainment area, sort of like what Los Angeles has with LA Live. But Globe Life Field, construction underway. They broke ground last fall, and it's expected to open in March of 2020. Now, it's going to cost $1.1 billion, and we show you some pictures of what it's going to look like. And I think the best feature is that the roof, it's going to have a retractable roof, is partially made of transparent material, so you get the outdoor field with the indoor ambiance. And by ambiance, I mean air conditioning, which, as we've discussed throughout the broadcast today, is not a bad thing, though the overcast skies are doing well today, as is this wind as I walk through the tunnel out to section 341 and 342. Now, if anybody is at the Rangers game in Arlington and want to check in on the progress, you just come up, take the elevator to the upper concourse. Outside 341, 342, you head out to the deck, and you can peek in on the new home of the Texas Rangers. But before I send it back to you, Rich, another question for the comment section. Globe Life Park opened, 1994? Rangers fans are watching on Facebook Live right now. Share with us your favorite memory, favorite event that took place in this ballpark. Could it be a perfect game from Kenny Rogers? Be one of the mammoth home runs that Nelson Cruz hit as he was leading the Rangers to their World Series appearances? Or maybe it was the 3,000th hit for Adrian Beltre last year. But put that in the comment section. Back to you, Rich.
All right, Steven. Well, we've got a former Texas Ranger with us, so we might as well pick his brain. David Pulse joins us coming back from the social media suite. As Gene Segura digs in against Giovanni Gallardo. 7-2. Texas on top. Gallardo's been cruising since the Rangers gave him the lead early in the ball game. David, for you, biggest event in this, aside from your first game in the big leagues or your first game here as a Ranger, biggest event that you've witnessed as a player or a fan or an alumni of the Texas Rangers? Gallardo is going to get it and fire to first.
I got to toot the horn one more time because I got the start opening day here in the ballpark in center field and hit leadoff. So I was fortunate enough to get the first hit in the ballpark.
Really?
So this will stand until that new one is built, and then that'll go away too.
So you had the very first hit at what was then the ballpark
in Arlington,
which is now Globe Life Park. That's terrific.
And it's funny, we were playing the Milwaukee Brewers, and as Ryan alluded to, one of his heroes was Dave Nielsen. He had the first home run in the ballpark. So it's all just coming together.
Joey Gallo's got 2 here. He might have the first home run in the new ballpark, which opens in 2020. Haniger RBI single. He's 1 for 2. Gallardo at 84 pitches, and he misses outside. Now, Steven showed you the plans, and this is going to open in 2 days. Texas Live, which is that retail shopping. You see Alex Claudio in the Rangers bullpen. Nightclubs, nightlife, restaurants. It's similar to a couple of other venues at Major League sites. Ballpark Village in St. Louis, which has been such a great success. And the Battery in Atlanta, the Braves' new ballpark in Atlanta. The Battery is a gorgeous hotel, shopping, restaurants that has blossomed and has been a terrific stop in Atlanta. And of course, you've got Jerry World over there. So this is a facility, a village and retail area that will get year-round use, whether it's football season or baseball season.
Yeah, it's a great way to rejuvenate and bring everyone back to Arlington. And for the economic sakes, too, for the economy,
the ball's launched, but it's foul.
It gives a lot of opportunities to people in Arlington, Texas, and surrounding areas to come. You've got these 2 huge major venues that are going to be there, and now all these accessories to do hotels, and there'll be concerts and restaurants. It's good to bring the draw here because the fan base is here. And with the fan base, like we said, we have all these young kids out here. The more they produce on this field is the more chances we have to draw in a big name free agent when this new ballpark opens. And the air conditioning is just another draw for a big name free agent who otherwise might not come here just because of the heat in Texas, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah, you look, it's not just the heat in Texas, but the rain, the summer storms. This has been somewhat of a problematic but very proud venue for the Texas Rangers. Gallardo working on Haniger, and a 3-2 pitch. And he walks him, and Haniger is aboard. It brings up Nelson Cruz. You saw Seattle's bullpen is active as well. Sam Tuivailala is up, and here is Cruz, who's popped out twice.
Yeah, the pitch counts are getting high. He's done a great job settling down since the second inning. I think the third inning to me was probably maybe the most important inning he had with that 9-pitch inning.
Ball strike ratio at 90 pitches. Corey Guerin joins the lefty Claudio in the bullpen.
I think they want Giovanni to get through this inning, work through it. If he get a double play, he's 1 pitch away from getting out of it. So they're going to give him the chance to sit in there, get a double play, go 6 strong innings, and then maybe turn it over to the bullpen.
Well, he's handled Cruz, which is not easy. Cruz has been hot. He showed you the home run from last night.
Right, not only hot, but a Giovanni Gallardo killer from what we heard earlier.
Yeah, Cruz came in 6 of 10 with 2 homers against Gallardo, who hasn't really faced Seattle much. I mean, he did pitch for Seattle last year. Made 22 starts for the Mariners, an ERA 5.72. One of the best years in his career was here as a Ranger, 2015. And in this environment, heck, in Milwaukee's environment, those are 2, Milwaukee and here, 2 offensive-minded ballparks.
Definitely.
He had a 3.42 ERA here back in 2015.
Yeah, I kind of harped on where we were talking about how much run support he was getting this year. Well, there was also those, there's those years when you don't get run support and you pitch well, but you don't win. It's just the way baseball is. So it's good to see that it's changed back in his favor for the time being.
He gets back into the at-bat and runs the count full, 3-2. And he went. Cruz couldn't check his swing. Gallardo gets a big strikeout, and he's got 2 outs now in the 6th. Just to put a finishing touch on Steven's question about moments here. A few days ago, they unveiled a statue here at Globe Life Park, and it will be outside of the new Globe Life Field. And it was of Game 6 of the American League Championship Series versus the Yankees. Neftali Feliz jumping into the arms of Benji Molina.
Right, and finally beating the Ranger killers. The Yankees had just dominated the Rangers in the playoffs, and that's the hurdle we couldn't get over.
Now, the cool part about it was it's a statue of Benji Molina, and Benji is there to take a selfie.
Perfect. What better person to be there then?
Think about the legacy at catcher in terms of defense here in Texas. Obviously, Pudge is now a Hall of Famer, but before there was Yachty, there was Benji.
Long line of great catching here. Sundberg, Sonny.
The strike, and Seager doesn't like it, and he thought it was down.
Boy, just to go back to that Nelly at bat, I really thought he was working around him and being careful when he got 3-0. To come back like that and strike him out. That was a great job of pitching on Giovanni's part.
Here's that pitch again with the strike box. That's a strike.
Yeah.
It's where it crosses the front of the plate. That's where the strike zone starts, and that's where that box measures. And Seager gets a piece of it and fouls it.
Two good pitchers there. Almost the same pitch with a lot of run and tail down, trying to induce a ground ball, keep him from getting hurt.
(7-2) Texas. Haniger still at first. Seager homered last night. A good take there, and Haniger's on his way down to second. It'll be a wild pitch. Count 2-2. We're talking about Ranger catchers. The guy behind the plate is an infielder by trade who's been tutored as a catcher and starting to apprentice as a catcher.
Brought his lunch box to work today. Blue collar, will do anything it takes. As a young guy, that's awesome to see.
Isaiah Kiner Falefa. Seager sends that one in the air to left. And Calhoun is under it and makes the catch. Giovanni Gallardo doing just what his manager said he would do, and that is pitch to the game and score. His ball club gave him an early lead, and he has held it quite well. He's through 6 after throwing a lot of pitches in the first 2 innings. 7-2, Texas on top. MLB.TV is now available at a lower price for $49.99. Watch every out-of-market regular season game. Get a free subscription to MLB at Bat Premium. Blackout, other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV to take advantage of this special offer. In Arlington, it's warm, but not as hot as we feared. Temperatures in the low 90s, overcast skies throughout, which has kept us from triple digits. As this 3-game series finishes, Seattle won in extra innings on Monday night, and last night the Rangers knocked around Felix Hernandez and the Mariners. All right, Brian Rowland-Smith has rejoined us from the social media suite.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of good online stuff, I would expect. Tell us about Marco Gonzalez, because he obviously didn't have his best stuff going.
Yeah,
today.
I think this came down to command and just not having that finish and that bite, that late life on his pitches. Everything was up in the strike zone. You can see here by the tracer right here, everything was up, out, over the plate. And these young hitters jump all over that when they can lean out and just rip in and get those hands extended. Tough day for him.
Even the best pitch he made right there on Andrus, he kept it fair down the line. That was amazing.
And so Seattle's going to go to their bullpen, and newly acquired right-hander Sam Tuivailala will take over. Vailala, 3rd-round pick of the St. Louis Cardinals out of the San Francisco Bay Area. San Mateo.
Tuivailala with a 347, 36 innings pitched, obviously majority of them with the St. Louis Cardinals, 29 strikeouts, 12 walks. And this is a guy who came over to be a big piece of them, bridging the gap to get to Edwin Diaz in that bullpen. Scott Service loves to use his bullpen early, and Tuivailala has been a nice little addition since coming to the Mariners.
A defensive change for Seattle. Andrew Romine is now at first base, and we'll try to get word as to the status of Ryan Healy. Romine's a versatile guy. He plays everywhere, but he is at first base. Trying to think back if there was anything today that involved Healy. Nothing that we can find in the scorebook. And a big swing and a miss there by Jurickson Profar.
Yeah, curious to see what happened with Ryan Healy taking out the lineup. Maybe give him a spell or something, but yeah, nothing really injury-wise that could have happened that we saw.
Profar's 0 for 3. And the switch hitter flips around against the right-hander Tuivailala. Vailala, part of the Cardinals bullpen since 2014. And some really nice numbers for a young guy that jumped into the big leagues. His ERA is under 2 with the Mariners. His ERA about 3.5 with the Cardinals.
Yeah, this is a guy who, when Jerry DiPoto goes out and makes moves, he always thinks about the next couple of years as well. Guys who he can control for a couple of years, and Tui Vilala is one of those impact players for 2018 to help bridge that gap to get to Edwin Diaz, the closer, but also can stick around 2019 and beyond. The biggest blemish for him is just against lefties. Lefties hitting .667. This is a good, interesting at bat. Basic profile the lefty.
Now you were a former lefty. Actually, you're still left-handed, but
I still am.
Former major
I
league,
hope so.
a former major league left-hander. So what do you see is in terms of the lefty bat against the righty? Why does his stuff not play right now against lefty bats?
Well, I think he really relies, first of all, on that sinker to get ahead, but then the slider to put hitters away. I think that slider for him just isn't quite that weapon against lefties. Lefties tend to see that pitch really easily. So again, this is a perfect example. It's 0-2, and the challenge is to put Profile away, and you can see foul ball after foul ball, because even though Profile's just putting that emergency hack on that pitch, got to be able to put guys away. See right there, that big break ball. That was a curveball that time. And that's a pitch you want to bounce in that situation, especially after a ton of foul balls. It can be a mental thing too, Rich. Sometimes when you know, you've heard about it, people talk a lot about how you're doing against a lefty or a righty matchup, or a certain guy. It can get in your head a little bit that you try and do a little bit too much.
Yeah, just as a left-handed hitter, I didn't mind facing any right-handers, even the dominant ones. There wasn't that, you just see the ball better, righty, lefty, and there weren't as many lefty starters.
It's a good live fastball there that was in. He gets the strikeout. And here's the last at bat for Ryan Healy. Let's see if we see anything with the swing.
Yeah, something there out of the batter's box. Could be something lower half with him. We'll find out hopefully soon. But again, Robinson Cano coming back. They're looking at Robbie to play first base, play some third base. This makes it an easier decision for Scott Service, putting him back in the lineup.
Again, Cano not eligible until the Oakland series. And so it's off to Houston to take on the Astros without him. That's next up for Seattle. It's just a brutal road trip. You're in Texas. Rangers are hot. They've won 8 of 11. Off to Houston, defending world champs. And then the hottest team on the planet, the Oakland Athletics, with a 3-gamer to finish the trip.
Yeah, you come in here, and if you're realistically looking at the schedule, Seattle is like, we got to come in here and win this. At least 2 or 3. Yeah. You know, take the rubber match today. Because you see Texas at the bottom of the lineup, but then you're also looking ahead. Well, we need to do this because next we have the Astros and the A's and the Dodgers and all these teams coming up. So let's take care of business here first.
Down the line, Rougned Odor has been a major pest to everybody. He's not stopping at second. Henniger's throw from the corner, and he's in there with a head-first slide and a triple. Second hit for Odor, and he's in scoring position with 1 out.
Just seeing the ball well, hitting on all cylinders. It intensifies his game where instead of stopping at second, he's already thinking about 3.
And Jeff Bannister talking about him staying back on those pitches. That's a good breaking ball in on the hands, and he's able to stay on that backside just a little bit longer, let that ball travel, and then crushes down the right field line.
There is nothing about his game that is not aggressive.
Right.
Whether it's base running, whether it's hitting, whether it's playing second base, whether it's punching.
Right? Yeah, sucking. There's that ball too. That's true.
He's had a few dust-ups out at second base.
He's known for that too. I mean, that was world famous, right?
Yeah, that's why I was talking about earlier. You see the swagger back when he was struggling to get the contest, but there he's back. That's the old Rougned Odor everybody wants to see.
Infield is in right now for Seattle. Elvis Andrus is 2 for 3, a double and a single. So Vilala with a backup breaking ball. It's in, and it's 2-0.
David, you mentioned that swagger and that presence. He's such a little guy, but man, he has a ton of it. And it's funny, when he is struggling,
you tend to lose that. We saw that with Felix Hernandez last night. Again, that's such a big part of some of these guys' games, especially Odor.
Right.
Tuivailala getting to face a righty. Mentioned 667 lefties are hitting against him. Interesting, Scott Service bringing in Tuivailala to face those lefties. Righties only hit 227. It's a huge split.
Four Major League seasons for Tuivailala. Was a shortstop when he was first drafted. He's added some leg depth to Seattle's bullpen. Infield still in. And the count full now, 3-2.
We're creeping later and later in the innings, and just a straight up infield in here because you got two great hitters. To me, I'd play the infield in. First, you can't allow any more runs to score. But these two guys are probably going to hit a ball in the air or a line drive, so a ground ball would just be a bonus.
There's the ground ball.
And there
Seager has got the runner hung up. Run down here. Zunino. This is Odor. And Tuivailala now after him. Odor. It's a flip to Zunino. He's still alive. Again, Seager. Now you're going to have two runners at third base. Odor, you've got a Mariner down who is hurt. It's Tuivailala. There's an out at third. What a mess of a play for the Mariners, both in execution and in result. Tuivailala, a key part of their bullpen, is down on the infield. They do get the out, but they should have had that out a lot sooner than they got it.
Yeah, this is not good, seeing Tuivailala rolling around. Probably rolled his ankle or did something obviously a little bit more serious than just rolling it, but it looked like that on the play. So it's tough sometimes for pitchers. You know, you work on the PFPs and these rundowns back in in March. And then you have months and months where you don't do anything like this, and just that change in direction can do this. You see it a ton.
Yeah. I mean, if it is just an ankle, that's a good thing, since we're not looking at a knee, which we get into some bad ligaments. So maybe he just rolled this and can bounce back and be back in a week or so.
Well, we're waiting for word on Healy. The Mariners PR staff has told us they will give us word as soon as they find out. Obviously now we'll add Tuivailala to the list. Okay, I've got a Major League pitcher here and a Major League base runner. What went wrong here for Seattle defensively?
Well, first of all, you know, you see Kyle Seager. He went to run at Profar and then he committed home, so he made the right play. And you can just see right there, you see Tuivailala slip a little bit, obviously rolled his ankle, but he's still, the adrenaline's up where he had to run after it, and then able just to run him down and get the two guys at third base.
Yeah, preferably we don't like that many throws. It's run at the guy hard and force him one way and make him commit. But obviously he got hurt halfway in between that, which kind of stalled it out a little. But Odor did his job to stay in that rundown as long as possible to get the runner over to third to take his place.
If my good friend Perry Hill is watching this, I'm sure he has said, you got to close the gap, the defender to the runner. You just can't have that much room between the runner and the throw. Once it's received, you got to close that gap.
And I think Odor did the right thing too. As soon as that ball was hit to Seager, Seager held, looked at him, you know, made eye contact essentially. He broke towards one way or the other. He didn't freeze, and that caused Seager to make that throw, and then that gap was wide from the get-go.
Right. Initially, had he froze, I would have had Seager run at him more.
Yeah.
So he had to give it up early, and it kind of had that gap, like you said, closing the gap. It wasn't there yet.
James Pazos is going to come out of the bullpen. He has as long as he needs to warm up, which shouldn't be too long in the heat here in Texas. The MLB at Bat mobile app brings every baseball moment to your favorite devices. Catch it all season long with the free MLB.tv game of the day, live radio broadcasts, in-game highlights, stats, news, and more. Download MLB at Bat today. It's your #1 app for live baseball. Rich Waltz, Ryan Rowland-Smith, along with David Hulse. And we said at the outset of the telecast that this was a crucial day for the Seattle Mariners. And David, you just illustrated with 4 in Houston and 3 in Oakland left on this road trip, a real necessity to win 2 out of 3 here. that's in doubt right now. They're down 7-2. But the way this series has gone continues a real troubling trend for Seattle. Felix Hernandez shelled last night, possibly out of the rotation when that turn comes up at the end of the Houston series. Marco Gonzalez, who pitched so well, didn't have it today. He gets knocked around. Sam Tuivailala, an important part moving forward, someone that Jerry Dipoto went and traded for from the St. Louis Cardinals, helped off the field after a botched rundown. And right now, not a lot of things going right for the Mariners.
No, and early it was a team sport where everything was going right offensively and defensively as a team. And then when it wasn't, people were ham and egging, just like in a golf scramble. One guy messes up a hole, the other guy picks him up. That was working, but now it's kind of seemed to just run all together where everyone's just struggling as a team.
Pazos continues to loosen up. Now, the run differential is a stat that a lot of people have pointed towards with this Mariner team. The Mariners a -19 run differential, and the thought there, and it's been proved and run out, is that if you have a healthy run differential, your probability of winning is going to be great, and it's really difficult with a negative run differential to sustain that and actually get to the postseason. So teams with negative run differential to reach the postseason, you got to go back to 2007 with the Diamondbacks, the last team to do it. And the fear was the run differential and all the one-run wins would eventually catch up to the Mariners.
Yeah, it's finally snuck its ugly head up, because that had been the talk and the knock and the criticism and the glass half empty view on the Seattle Mariners when they were doing big things early in the year, even offensively too. They were up there in categories, but everyone kept looking at that run differential and said, hey, this is unsustainable. But I think as you break this down, the month of July was when the wheels came off offensively for this club. The home run numbers were way down. They went from 40 home runs in the month of June to 19 home runs, cut that in half, and all of a sudden the pitching didn't quite sustain either, and that's where you have it.
As we said, though, there's a lot of baseball left.
Yeah.
And the Mariners right now are 2 out of a postseason spot. They've not been to the postseason, everyone knows, since 2001. And you think back to last year, and obviously this team they need to get going offensively, but they need help in their rotation right now.
Yeah.
Mike Leake was a post-trade deadline acquisition last year. So it can be done.
Yeah.
Mike Fiers was just picked up by the Oakland Athletics. There are guys out there, and I would expect that Seattle will be very, very aggressive in the next few weeks trying to find one of those.
Well, look at Justin Verlander with the Astros last year in August, getting picked up. It didn't happen in the trade deadline. Got picked up in August when they desperately needed that extra horse in that rotation, and look at the difference it made.
It's just like revived his career too. Now he's just like, it's like Verlander of old, just dominant all the time now. When, again, everyone thought he was on the decline in Detroit.
Yeah.
It just revived him, and he's back to confident and the Verlander that no one can hit.
All right, it's Beltre now against Pazos. And with the out on that rundown, there are 2 outs in the inning. So the infield's way back. Elvis Andrus is at third base. Beltre's driven in a run on a ground ball that was mishandled for an error by Kyle Seager.
For James Pazos, a 2.37 ERA, 36 strikeouts, 6 walks. But he's struggled a little bit lately. Struggled with velocity too. He lives and dies off that 95, 96 mile per hour fastball. Doesn't throw a whole lot of sliders either. He's about 85% fastballs, but that velocity's declined a little bit. And that goes back to those bullpen numbers we flashed up earlier, talking about the decline.
Beltre takes in just an incredible ride, an exceptional Hall of Fame career. He was well liked when he was a Mariner. This is his 8th year in Texas. Adrian Beltre still producing. Had that long home run to center field in last night's ball game.
I got a chance to play with Adrian when he was with the Seattle Mariner, and just an amazing teammate too. He was a guy that he controlled that clubhouse. You made sure you weren't doing anything silly around him, in a good way too. He was a guy that made sure everyone was on board with what was going on with that organization.
We mentioned the home run significant last night. It tied Chipper Jones for 33rd all time. He's at 468. Carlos Delgado is 32nd at 473.
Also, too, you look at his defense. I swear he shaved a point off my ERA when he was playing third base in Seattle.
He was a dominant defender. 5 Gold Gloves in his career.
Perfect guy to have on this team with so many young players.
Exactly.
This is that's what they need to see, how a Hall of Famer goes out and does work and does his job the right way.
That list.
Most home runs by a third baseman. That is just foul.
So the rule of thumb used to be 3,000 hits, you're automatic, you're in.
Right.
And it's lived up to that. So he's obviously just climbing the list on that, passing some of the greatest hitters I've ever seen. And then when you look at Chipper Jones and Jim Thome and Pudge that all made it first ballot, his numbers stack up to those. And like you said, he just tied Chipper for homers. So to me, it's a no-brainer.
Well, he's 12th all time in doubles. I mean, and if the other numbers are actually higher on the list than the home runs, runs scored, he is 15th all time. Dominican-born Hall of Famers: Juan Marichal, Pedro Martinez, Vladimir Guerrero. Body going in this year. Marichal's nickname, of course, the Dominican Dandy. David Ortiz, who is next up on that doubles list, is eligible in 2022. Here's that man again, and that's Joey Gallo. Pulls a ground ball wide of first. Romine is there, but it's foul.
You mentioned David Ortiz. That's got to help Edgar's case, right? Being a DH and having that presence and how important that position is. I think with what David Ortiz did, he even talks about Edgar too when talking about how that influence he had on him as a DH.
Right. And as a player, just to watch him play was unbelievable in Seattle in those heydays. Just to watch people like him, Griffey Jr. do all their work. He was right in the middle of it, and he was pretty much the most productive one.
Just watching Joey Gallo today has been entertaining. 2 homers, one a lot longer than the other.
Yeah, a lot of production there too.
415 feet was that first homer into the Rangers bullpen. And then I'm guessing about 336 feet on the one that just snuck over the short angle in the right field line.
And guys, this is the big matchup for Joey Gallo, a good one for him. When James Pazos has struggled with that breaking ball, doesn't throw the whole lot, velocity's down. And I'd be surprised here if he goes deep again. And there's that slider. That's the pitch he's really struggled with. You see that he gets on the side of that pitch. Really no depth of that at all. He has to come back with that fastball. And again, he's lost that velocity of late and just lost that confidence with it.
Andrus is at third base. Beltre over at first. Pazos to Gallo. In with a fastball. This one's popped up. And Zunino goes a long way to make that catch for a catcher right in front of the dugout. And the inning is over. No runs scored. And the Rangers strand a couple. Let's check in with Steven Nelson. Steven?
Thanks, Rich. You know, Nelson Cruz was a Ranger for 8 seasons from 2006 to 2013. Did a lot of great things in a Texas uniform. Hit a lot of dingers, 157 to be exact. Was an all-star, ALCS MVP, but his legacy, his lasting legacy, is probably a hot dog. But not just any hot dog. The one we are showing you right now, the Boomstick. Costs $27.50. It's 2 feet long. It weighs 1 pound. It's a hot dog. It's got chili on it. Has melted cheese, jalapenos, and melted onions. Now, I thought I was going to give a go and try and eat this thing, but as Deja is making this, I immediately regret that decision, and I don't know if it's going to be able to happen. Wow.
Don't look for any help from us on that.
I'm bringing it up to the booth because I'm in big trouble, guys. My eyes were a lot bigger than my stomach is.
You'll be in bigger
Jalapenos too. Great. This is awesome. I'd have to call HR and make sure insurance covers boomsticks, because that's, oh, Bubba, no.
Hard attack in a box right there.
I know. All right, so I guess she's going to deliver this, and I'm going to need somebody to, 1, send help, 2, call my parents, and 3, all right, there it is, the boomstick in all its glory. Will somebody take a picture of this? It could be my last photo ever, guys. All right, speaking of pictures, we want to show you some other ones from the fans, because that's a huge part of MLB Live on Facebook Watch. You just use the hashtag MLB Live on FB. You post it to the fan pages for whatever team that you root for today, probably the Mariners and the Rangers. But every game that we're on Facebook, we want to show your experience, because it's part of our experience with you guys, the fans, where you're watching the game from. Maybe a family photo where you're rocking the colors of your favorite team. Maybe you guys are going to take on the boomstick here at Globe Life Park. I'm not sure.
Oh, I'm sure.
MLB Live on FB. Rich, keep talking, brother. I'm coming. You're my next stop. This is yours now. I'm handing it off.
Yeah, well, you haven't even taken a bite, so.
Rich already put one of those.
I'll do that, but not. Yeah. Goodbye. I'm out.
Yeah, he had one of those down by the first.
Yeah, what are you talking about? He put one away for the second inning, right?
Bullpen finally for the Texas Rangers. That's a big helmet of nachos, it looks like. Denard Span, Andrew Romine, and Mike Zunino. The Mariners have lost a couple of players in this ball game. Ryan Healy left. We're still awaiting word on his status. He did not run well on his last at bat down to first, and in that botched rundown last half inning, Sam Tuivailala was helped off the field with an apparent leg injury. And Span with a swing and a miss against Alex Claudio. Gallardo went 6 and gives up just the 2 runs.
You look at Alex Claudio, 4.6 ERA, 21 strikeouts, 8 walks, 1.68. Not having the best year. Pure left on left specialist. Lefty's hitting 222 off it.
But I will give it to him. He will take the ball anytime you ask him to take the ball. He's had to take the ball when he didn't want to some this year, and he dealt with it. And he had to, soak up some innings just to save the bullpen, and he's done it.
Yeah, he's a guy, he's faced his fair share of righties too. He's not coming in just to get that one hitter. He's faced a ton of righties, but righties hitting 422 off of him. That's been his big downfall when you look at those numbers.
Span singled in the second, busted his bat, and finds another hit in center field. He has been an under-the-radar, really nice addition to this ball club. As a Mariner, his average over 290, his on base 335, and his slugging is 450.
Yeah, he's a guy that came in, and the big thing with him was having those good professional at-bats, having better at-bats and getting himself on base, and you said it too. And another thing, we talked about the 3-hole with Robinson Cano out of the lineup. Denard Span's hitting 351 when he's in that 3-hole.
Heck, that was a great leadoff bat to start off an inning. Facing Claudio, that's just uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Changing speeds every pitch, lefty on lefty. And when he, like you said, when he got to 2 strikes, he gave himself up. Just took it right back up to the middle. Shattered his bat, but that bat goes down a hero.
Romine, his first at bat of the ball game, checks his swing off the appeal. This is not an easy day for umpires in this type of heat. And as we noted, it could be a lot hotter. It's been overcast most of the day. Temperatures in the low 90s. So Ryan Healy, now we saw that he had trouble running down to first, and the word is a heat-related illness. And the word on Sam Tuivailala is a strained right Achilles.
Not good.
And we thank the Mariners PR staff for getting the word to us so quickly. So Healy with a heat-related illness and a strained right Achilles for Tuivailala.
Yeah, neither of those two things are good. Obviously, Ryan Healy, chance to Maybe put him on an IV or just smash a few more Gatorades. But the big one, Tuivailala, with that Achilles, he'd rather that be an ankle injury.
Right. I was hoping it was an ankle as
and to the
opposed
bat,
to that.
and that's over the outstretched glove of Andrus. And Seattle starting to put together something here in the 7th. The bottom of their order, Span a single, Romine a single, and here comes Zunino, who's homered again in this ballgame.
Yeah, that's a good sign for the Mariners again, starting to pile on base runners. That's been the big thing for them the last month and a half, is just having traffic on bases. And we said this too. No lead is safe here in Texas. 5-run lead right now. Mike Zunino's hot. He's already homered today. Get a chance to see the top end of that lineup coming up as well. So Doug Brocale out talking to Alex Claudio.
The fact that he didn't get the lefty on lefty with the leadoff, and like you said, righties are doing so well. This is what it's gotten him into. So come out, give him a talk, try to calm him down. Again, try to induce that double play. Give somebody time in the bullpen to get loose.
Second time that Guerin's been up.
The other part of that is too, usually that ambushed Claudio a little bit too, because that Guerin didn't have enough time to get loose. Now you're facing Mike Zunino, a righty, who's already homered today,
right.
Cameron Maben, before you get to D. Gordon.
Yes.
Well, Zunino's in one of those hot spells. He took a breaking ball on the outside part and sent it out to center field. Claudio's out in front, 0-1.
This is a good time for Mike Zunino to let that ball travel. We talked about that being a big help for him of late. Alex Claudio goes softer when he gets in trouble.
Yeah, you always hate to walk up to your bat and take a changeup.
That's not an easy pitch to take out anywhere.
No, it's not. That was a good break ball from Gallardo in that situation, but again, going to where the ball was pitched. That's the big thing with Mike Zunino. A month and a half ago, he's pulling off that ball, but either swinging and missing or rolling over to shortstop.
Zunino down the right field line. That one's twisting just foul. As we saw with the Gallo homer, that's a tricky corner here. More so in right than in left. The angle of the wall, when you hit the Allstate sign, it goes from 349 to 325 in a hurry, and Gallo tucked one just over that wall for a home run. Mariners have not had a lot of runners in scoring position today. They're 1 for 2 in that spot. And a chopper towards third, handled there by Profar across the diamond. Guzman can't grab it, and it hops into the seats. And that, I believe, is going to cost a run. Nope. Romine will stop at third.
Well, Claudio doing a good job to get that ground ball. Profar had an easy play. Mike Zunino does not run well at all.
Exactly. He had plenty of time. You're right there at the base. Set, make a strong throw.
Now the rule is it's the base you're headed to and then a base after that, and so Romine on his way to second stops now at third.
Guzman did all he could. Look at this guy in the splits.
Here's Maben, and Maben fouls it at the plate.
And Guzman stretching the other way too.
Just all out
It's
effort.
a big man.
Yeah.
Yeah, tough break. Again, having a chance to stop this rally, get 2 quick outs after giving up a couple hits. Now you got D. Gordon on deck. That's the top of the lineup.
Infield's back. Maben could drive in a run with a ground ball up the middle. Claudio misses outside. Gordon is 0 for 3. Segura 0 for 2. That pair so dynamic in the first half of the season for the Mariners. Maybe a soft ground ball. That's going to score a run, and that's going to be a base hit. And the Mariners get that run. Romine comes across. Andrus didn't break on the ball. Profar was a bit fooled. As it turns out, the ball ended up out, just rolling by itself out towards short.
Looked like Profar thought Claudio was going at it.
Yeah. See right here too with Profar, that's not really a situation where he has to really cover the bag. You have to get to the ball first. Everyone should be charging that ball. So that's an interesting decision from him. But Claudio really had no play on that ball, even though he's left-handed.
Right. Now you got runners at second and third. You'll gladly give up an out for a run to get the second out of this inning. For him to be covering third, I don't get it either.
Now, Guerin, the right-hander, is ready. You've got Segura on deck. Gordon, lefty on lefty action, and Gordon fouls it back.
Rich, we're talking about the Rangers defense too. Sometimes, you know, with Profar, a situation like that, a young player probably anchoring on the play he made before, still upset and frustrated with himself, that you just have that little bit of a focus lapse. Because that's a situation I guarantee right now he's going back through saying, you know what, I have to charge that ball. I practiced that hard back in March.
Gordon rolls it to first. Guzman gets it out there, fires to second. That's a tag play, and he's safe. No slide, though, from Maben, but he arrives in time before the tag. And let's see if Segura faces the lefty or if Jeff Bannister goes to get Guerin, which is the likely scenario.
The Mariners are in a great spot right now, even though Gene Segura's been struggling. This is the part of the lineup you want up, and they're tying around at home plate. Have a look at this. Dee Gordon. Obviously, Guzman can see the bag, make that play. Cameron Maben, maybe a little bit shocked that he threw the ball down to second base in that situation.
What I like is how Guzman attacked that ball and didn't sit back. He got the right hop, which is probably everything. There's no way they're throwing down to second. He's sitting back and going to just get that first out.
Before we introduce Corey Guerin, let's look back at the last time the Seattle Mariners went to the postseason.
The 25th season of Mariner baseball resulted in the greatest regular season in American League history. The 2001 Mariners led the majors in both runs scored and the fewest runs allowed. No one exemplified the team's overall dominance more than their prized import from the Far East.
It seems like the Boston Red Sox are not going away.
The Red Sox are red hot.
Kiss it goodbye deep into the night. The Red Sox walk it off.
And the Red Sox, they're on a pace for the third best home run hitting season in history.
Mookie Betts has now become one of the best, if not the best player in all of baseball.
He crushed it! It's a grand slam! Wow!
Despite all the regular season triumphs, however, Seattle was eliminated in 5 games in the ALCS for a disappointing end to a record-breaking season.
The Red Sox are poised to have arguably their best regular season ever.
So the question is, where will the Red Sox finish? And obviously their eye is finishing in the World Series. That's unfortunate for the 2001 Mariners that they didn't get to their destination. Here's the numbers that compare the two to this point for the Red Sox. They're a little bit behind Seattle's pace at 80 and 34. Their division lead is a lot smaller. Seattle had a 19-game lead at this point.
That was a torrid pace. 19 games up.
Question for the viewers. Will the Red Sox set a new mark for the most wins in a single season?
Dave, what do you got?
Well, I'd like to be a baseball purist that even knew what the record was.
116.
116.
116. I'm going to take the over.
Wow.
At this stage right now.
All right, let's see Corey Guerin against Gene Segura. With a pair of runners on, Seattle trying to scratch through a few more runs, get a little bit closer here in the 7th. And Segura into center field. That's a base hit. And a couple runs will score. Maben racing around third. And Gene Segura has delivered. We heard from Edgar Martinez about 4 innings ago, and all the work they've put in, just freeing the hands. And that's a great example of all that work that comes to fruition.
Yeah, and that's some of that magic we saw early in the year, coming up in a big spot. Gene Segura, we talked about how much the struggles he's had, hitting 200 since the break, but that's what he does best right there, hitting that ball right up the middle with traffic in front of him.
Huge 2-out, 2 RBI single right there. Not only to get Seattle right back into the game, but to change his mindset and bring confidence into his offensive game.
Now Haniger, end of the bat, and it rolls up the line. It's 7-5 and a lot of baseball left here on a warm day in Arlington, Texas.
Take a look at Corey Guerin coming in the teeth of this 7th inning. 3.71 ERA, 43 innings pitched, 40 strikeouts, 17 walks, a 1.33 whip.
Came over from the Giants in early July. Runner goes. Big jump by Segura, and not even a flinch from Kiner Falefa behind the plate.
What an unbelievable read that was off the pitcher. And he froze him. Normally, runners get frozen when a pitcher stands there for a long time.
Yeah, you notice Corey Guerin, mechanically how he drifts off of that front foot, and that's why you can time that up so easily, because it gets in a pattern of just seeing that little bit of movement forward, and then off he goes.
Haniger drove in a run, drove in Segura back in the first.
See Mitch Haniger, 263 batting average. Has slipped. Again, you look at when Robinson Cano has been out, he's hitting 245 since Robinson Cano has been out. With Cano there, 293 hitter.
Haniger fouls it back.
Wow, you got a pitch to hit there too. That was a 2-strike mistake. Middle of the plate. That's a pitch Mitch Haniger a couple months ago would absolutely crush. Talked about those numbers though. I think a big part of this, take a look at another look at this pitch. That's middle right there, 93. Haniger hitting 300 down the 6 hole. He can't wait for Robinson Cano to be hitting in this spot in about a week.
Haniger, an all-star season, takes in. And they count 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Nothing like great protection in a lineup.
Yeah.
We got to go after this guy because we don't want the next guy for sure.
Yeah.
And the next guy today is Nelson Cruz. He's 0 for 3 and on deck. Segura at second. 3 runs across here in the 7th.
Missing by a mile, 3-2. Good at bat here from Mitch Haniger. Got that one mistake to hit, he missed it, but able to lay off that changeup. Huge at bat right here with Nelson Cruz in the on deck circle.
Haniger lines one into left field. That's a base hit. Here comes Segura, and he will score. And Seattle is back within a run. Big inning in the 7th. And the big bat starting to wake up. First Segura with a 2-run single. Now Haniger with an RBI hit.
David, you mentioned the protection. That's what happens. Protection with Nelson Cruz behind you. Mitch Haniger knows that Corey Guerin has to pitch to him. He knows he's going to get a pitch here, 3-2. He's not going to pitch around him, even with that open bag. And now he's facing Nelson Cruz right here in a big spot down a run.
Yeah, and a big quality at bat. He may have missed the 2-strike pitch a little late, but he battled. He kept getting fouling off, whatever it was, seeing the ball, and then he got that great pitch. And like you said, Nelson's due in the Rangers' mind.
And it's at-bats like that can snowball that confidence for Mitch Haniger. Man, if he can get hot with Robinson Cano coming back, they're in really good shape offensively.
Just even this whole inning is like hitting's contagious.
Yeah.
You hear that so many times.
And look at that for Haniger, his first multi-RBI game since July 10th. Cruz 0 for 3, struck out his last time up. Guerin just in out of the pen, and he misses away.
Yeah, Mitch Haniger, he was on such a tear. We're talking pre and post of Robinson Cano being in the lineup. Before May 13th, he had 10 home runs. He's only had 8 since that date. Yeah, and Corey Guerin giving him a pitch to hit 1-0. You do not want to slip behind in the count with Nelson Cruz because mistakes, he won't do that 2 times into that bat. This pitch is middle, a little bit of sink, a little bit of run.
Yeah, you think he's late on that one. The next one's going to left field up in the seats.
That's where he went yesterday, a long homer to left. And Cruz drills that one left field. And it'll stay in the yard. And it's Tochi who makes the catch, but the Mariners are off the canvas and back in this ball game. They get 4 runs in the seventh inning stretch. Still a lot of baseball here in Arlington. The Rangers 7 and the Mariners 6. And we welcome you into our broadcast booth. Rich Waltz, Ryan Rowland-Smith, David Hulse here. Been an entertaining game. It's nice to see Seattle back among the living here and up with the 4 runs, make it a 1-run game. Now it's like it or leave it. It's a you're already
one of these ones. I'm ready. You got it? Thumbs up or thumbs down?
The Aussies jumped the gun already. Okay, here's his single season win record. You guys already voted on this and win the World Series. I will go no. I'll go thumbs down and thumb up.
I'm with you.
They win the World Series. They don't set the record.
I'm going all the way. Somebody has to.
Wow. There you go.
Admirable.
Thank you.
All right, next topic. Por favor. The Nationals should stop changing managers and start changing players. Look, I'm there.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
thumb up.
Some of those managers were managers of the year, got to the postseason. You've got, it started with Jim Riggleman. Remember, he walked out because they wouldn't extend his contract. Davey Johnson, manager of the year. Matt Williams, really good manager, did a nice job. Dusty Baker, oh, he's not good enough. Bring in Davey Martinez.
That's a cutthroat profession these days, man. They turn them up. Managers over every team feel like does that nowadays.
All right, what's next? Not a boomstick, hopefully. Clayton Kershaw.
Wow.
Could make the Rangers a contender. He's a Dallas native. That would be 2019. He has an opt-out clause.
Hey, why not? Give it to him. He's that good, right?
You know,
he can make anybody a contender.
And here's the other variable about that is they're moving into a new ballpark.
There you go.
In 2020.
Yeah. Lives down the street.
I'm this way. Maybe not. I don't know that he opts out. I don't know that he's going to get that type of money in another place. All right, Felix Hernandez should be removed from the Mariners rotation. I'm with you, but look, get him to the bullpen, get him straightened out, give him some short confidence builders, and maybe you bring him back in late September.
I hate to do this. It's not because, for exactly that reason. Give him a breather right now. If you want to salvage something from Felix the rest of the year, he just needs that breather, and then come back to this in the offseason.
With you both 100%. Give him the break. Maybe that's why the velocity is down. Maybe he's tired. Few starts off, work in the bullpen, come back strong.
Yeah.
Zach Duke, and this is a new ball game certainly with Seattle's rally, and a chopper just over Duke. Oh, bad hop, and it hits D. Gordon. It's going to be a base hit. Gordon trying to backhand it. This is a hard infield. And I don't know if D took that off the face or if it glanced off of his glove.
Yeah, it looked like that last bounce. Take a look from behind the catcher. There's one little bounce right there, jumped up on his face, and that's that hard infield. It's like a trampoline out there by the bag.
Oh, it did glance off the right side of his face.
Looks like a little deflection, then it, ooh. I think his glove saved him from further damage.
Yeah. It's going to be a base hit, and Connor Falefa is aboard. Duke, part of that trio of bullpen arms that was added to Seattle's pen. You got Ronald Guzman, the big first baseman, who's 2 for 3, and his out was a line drive to right.
We talked about that trio of pitchers with Zach Duke, Adam Warren, and the guy we saw with the ankle, Tuivilala. That was his 7th inning. That was a big bridging the gap. Alex Colomé has come on, pitching, throwing the ball really well, and Edwin Diaz is on fire this year.
Lined into the gap, left center field. Span giving chase, not going to get it, and it's going to go to the wall. Kiner Follett around third, and he will score, and another extra base hit for the Rangers. Guzman on a 3-for-4 day has driven in his 2nd run.
Again, great piece of hitting, especially he's coming back in the lineup, and if he had been struggling a little bit, just take what they give you, stay on the ball and drive it in the gap. It doesn't have to be a home run every time. Those are doubles in the gap, scoring runs.
And Zach Duke, and this is that rain cloud of over that 7th inning I was talking about. Obviously Tuivilala going down, but Zach Duke, Adam Warren been getting hit hard since putting on the Mariners uniform. Zach Duke came into this team to help out with the lefty situation. Mark Zebchinski didn't really fill that void with the Mariners early on. He struggled, and Zach Duke is now struggling again, just not able to again bridge that gap.
Yeah, it is just amazing today how successful Texas has been lefty on lefty.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kuzma's got 3 hits. This guy, Willie Calhoun, had a big double. He's 1 for 2. That double was against Marco Gonzalez. Rolled to first. Now, if you're just joining us, Tuivilala strained a right Achilles in a rundown that took much longer than it should have for the Mariners. They did get the out, but after numerous throws and Tuivilala getting involved, he was helped off the fields, and we were told a strained right Achilles. Ryan Healy has left this ball game with a heat-related illness. That's in the gap as well. Maven runs it down. Guzman will score. Calhoun has another double. And the lefty-on-lefty damage continues for the Texas Rangers.
This is just a great response to a punch in the mouth the last inning.
Yeah.
To be able to bounce back and respond like this after giving up and getting the Mariners back in the game, this is crucial. Plus, it's starting to get in the bottom of your lineup, and they're being this successful.
Zach Duke changes arm slots. That's part of his arsenal. He came back, resurrected his career back in 2014, 2015, started changing those arm slots to get lefties out, to be that left-on-left guy. And that pitch is just straight middle, 89 mile per hour, easy hit for lefties. But you're right, David, the way these guys have handled these lefties, not trying to do too much, just shoot that gap at left center field.
Drew Robinson in the ball game. He's going to run at second base. Tochi is a guy that oftentimes is used like a pitcher would be used in a National League game from the 9 spot. He will bunt, and he's done it successfully in this series. There's nobody out, and obviously the Rangers trying to move the runner to third. They had a squeeze play on with Tochi earlier, and he got it down, but it was foul. That's a great bunt. Seager bare hands.
Wow.
He makes a very nice play to first. The sacrifice is in order. Robinson now at third base.
Yeah, good for him to get that sac bunt down. Because like you said, he didn't get the squeeze down and would have scored that run, but for him to bounce back here and get the sac bunt, he's just doing his job. He's not in there enough, so
yeah,
I got to get this down so I can hopefully in the future get more at bats.
Yeah, and that was a good play. Kyle Seager made a great defensive play made up for that error. Again, defensively showing that range. But you're right, Tochi, it's a lost art. We talked about this, Rich, last time we worked the game, talking about the bunt, how it's just that lost art, but Tochi doing a great job.
Profar shoots that down the right field line. And the Rangers answering Seattle. Profar, his first hit of the ball game. 3 runs across, and the lead is back to 4. It's 10-6.
Yeah, going back to the lost art. When I played in the mid-90s, I hit leadoff. My job was to show bunt, pull the third baseman in, slap the ball to the left, get on base for the rest of the lineup to drive me in.
Yeah.
They force me sometimes to bunt once a game for a hit.
And it turns over to the top of the lineup, and you see Profile with that big hit. And Zach Duke just really struggling since joining the Seattle Mariners.
And again, a lefty-on-lefty matchup. And Odor swings And misses. The count's 0-1. Odor has 2 hits against lefties, a bunt single in the first. Although actually his triple was against Tuivailala, and that was before Pazos came in. And Duke with a good breaking ball. It's 0-2.
And there's 2 breaking balls from Zach Duke that he's hoping he could get back and turn back time on some of these last at-bats to show that pitch. You see that arm slot too. We talked about the way he changes his arm slot. Situation right here, you see him drop down, throw that big breaking ball, sweeping breaking ball, right down, little sidearm action, try and get that swing and miss.
Counts 0-2. Player of the week in the American League is Odor.
There it is.
Second time he's won that in the second half of the season.
Talk about that arm slot. Here's a good look from the side where he drops down. He can get even lower than that too. This is something that he tried out back in 2014. He's with the Cincinnati Reds, and he was kind of that marginal starting pitcher, and he wanted to resurrect his career, so he started messing with that arm slot, and it turned out to be a good thing. Signed a 2-year deal with the White Sox.
Fastball up and in. We'll see if that's a show-me pitch, and if the next one is the sharp breaking ball away.
Up and in, down and away, lefty on lefty. Sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, you probably get back to the breaking ball right here.
I mean, the first 2 swings, Odor didn't look too comfortable.
In the air, Gordon is playing so deep because of the shift that he's going to make the catch. He's about 90 to 100 feet out in the outfield grass. Profar still at second, and Elvis Andrus, the number 3 hitter, comes up. It's got service. Seattle manager on his way out. He's going to go get a right-hander to face Andrus. Looks like Chasen Bradford is coming in. We've been talking about Texas Rangers history and big moments in this ballpark, or big moments in Rangers history, not necessarily in this ballpark. And one of those moments was a bittersweet one, getting to the World Series for the 2nd straight year. 2011, having a 3-2 lead, having a lead late Game 6 against the Cardinals. One of the great World Series games in Major League history. Here's a look and a listen.
Well, here we are in St. Louis. It is cool, no rain in the forecast, and we're ready for Game 6. Everybody's well rested and ready to go. Fly ball into right center. Back at the track. This ball is gone. And Adrian Beltre has put the Rangers up 5-4 in the 7th inning of Game 6. High fly ball down the left field line. This ball is gone. The 8th home run this postseason for Nelson Cruz. And the Rangers have a 6-4 lead in the 7th. And now the Rangers are 1 strike away. Into right, well hit. Back at the wall. It's off the wall. Freeze has tied it. There's a shot into right. Back at the track. At the wall. Hamilton has gone deep. And it's 9-7 Texas here in the 10th.
The Rangers a strike away from winning it in both the 9th and 10th innings.
Freeze hits it in the air to center. We will see you tomorrow night.
How did this happen?
They have pushed this 2011 postseason to the final day.
Of course, the Cardinals would go on to win that World Championship. Heartbreaking losses. The Marlins come back. Edgar Renteria's hit, Game 7 for Cleveland. That was a heartbreaker. The Yankees, Mariano trying to close it in the desert. Gonzo dumping it over Jeter's head into left field. The Giants, 2002, Game 6, big lead, big comeback for the Angels. They would win that World Series. And of course, Boston. It all started with the Dave Roberts stolen base. And it didn't end They were down 3-0 in the series at that time. It didn't end until Boston came back and had that epic World Series. Now, obviously, the tie-in here with Seattle in town is the fact that Nelson Cruz played a big role in that postseason in 2011. We told you Chasen Bradford's in. He's facing Elvis Andrus. And yeah, Cruz did not play that ball well. The freeze ball off the wall and right that could have ended it had he made the catch, and the Rangers would have won the World Championship. There's a bouncer there. Seager's going to get that out. Wait a minute. It's not a force play. Seager feeling it was a force, and he fooled me as well. He stepped on the bag as if he had the out. And obviously there's no one at first, so Profar is safe at third.
And that's that mental lapse when you've been out there for a long time. It's been, what, 30 minutes. This inning has been a long one. Zach Duke not getting anyone out whatsoever. Been a lot of different base runners, different situations. And that is just a mental lapse right there from Kyle Seager, which is extremely rare for him.
Wow. It has been a rough series for Seager. 2 errors last night, an error earlier today. And on that one, it's a mental error. It's not an error in the book. It's a fielder's choice. Wow. And that brings up Beltre with runners at the corners. And Beltre a line drive, and wow, isn't that a painful mistake now? And costly. Beltre an RBI single.
You bring the relief in, the righty on righty, and he gets the job done, and that happens, and then sure enough, the next guy beats you.
Yeah, and Kyle Seager, as soon as that ball was hit, all eyes were on him, especially from the booth here. And you can just see the reaction from Kyle Seager. As soon as the ball went over Gene Segura's head, just head down. Hopefully get another look right here after we see the pitch. But again, Adrian Beltre doing his job. This has been a rough inning. Yeah, you can see Kyle Seager. He knows it. And this is something, look, in that clubhouse, you talk about clubhouse chemistry. This is a leader on this team. He does a lot of good for this clubhouse. The young guys is a great example. And he is feeling it right now. He knows who he's let down, Chasen Bradford, and he's let down his team.
And so here's Gallo with runners first and second. Gallo has hit home runs number 30 and 31 on a 3-hit day. He had an RBI single in the first.
Yeah, today's been a good day mentally for Gallo. The lefty on lefty at bats, the 2 homers, and you may not think so, but when he goes in and sees his average over 200, that's a big deal to hitters.
It's 400 right for him.
Yeah, Gallo's one of those guys, the average is always hovering around 200, but the on base is over 300. And of course the slugging percentage and the home runs. And the one thing that seems to have improved is his ability to hit with runners in scoring position and drive in runs.
Right.
A lot of solo home runs early in his career. But with 4 RBIs today, he's at 71 RBIs and 31 home runs. 31 homers and 30 singles this season.
Yeah, it's interesting too. See Gallo go down. He's made a medal. I think he's okay. The thing is, you know, we spoke to Jeff Bannister before the game. He talked about how insignificant really the shift is, because he talked about even when they shift, anywhere he hits the ball on the ground, anywhere, even if it's left side or right side, he's hitting what, around 180. When he hits the ball and gets off the ground, it's up around 400. So it just goes to show the shift really doesn't have that big of an impact on his game.
Right. And I just think back, I want to compare him so much to Chris Davis when he first came up with the Rangers.
Right.
He was the same age, young. He had some success at first hitting homers, and then he struggled. And then they tried to change him a little bit to try and make more contact, and it didn't work. But as soon as he went to Baltimore and turned 26 years old, boom, he developed, he matured, and he's just been hitting 30 to 40 home runs a year. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Well, there's no doubt the power is there. And the other thing that I think people lose with the big strikeouts, the long home runs, is if you watch Gallo play, what jumps out is his athleticism. He's a terrific athlete. He's fast.
Yeah.
He moves well. Count 2-2 here. And he takes down low.
And you can see these better at-bats too. 3-2, laying off some good pitches. Able to foul off a couple pitches that, again, as short as 2 months ago, they were pitches he was missing by 2 feet. And it was glaring too.
Yes.
Bishop Gorman High School, Henderson, Nevada. That's right next door to Las Vegas. And, of course, some big stars have come out of there. Bryce Harper, Chris Bryant, and Gallo, and that's strike 3. Really nice pitch by Bradford. But Seattle, bullpen issues, defensive issues, and all of that in the 7th inning. Texas almost lost their lead. And 4 runs now, an 11-6 lead. The Mariners are finally back home next Friday, August 17th. That's after stops in Houston and Oakland and a 6-game homestand. Dodgers and Astros. Get out and see those Dodgers. And, of course, the Astros are a great team to watch as well. Mariners.com for tickets. Texas next homestand on Monday, the 13th. Out to Globe Life. Joey Gallo. Rougned Odor will be waiting for you. Diamondbacks, very good team. And the Angels. Get your tickets at TexasRangers.com. All right, this has been a tough 24 hours for Kyle Seager. In last night's ball game, a couple of errors. Today, had that one eat him up. And then this, with nobody at first and 2 outs, he felt he had a force play. He didn't. Adrian Beltre would follow with an RBI single. Yeah. Even for a guy that's been at the very pinnacle of defense, he's a Gold Glove winner. He's known as one of the better defenders at third base in the game. It's not an easy game, and when it goes sideways, it can eat you up.
Yeah, I think it's magnified too with what's going on with this team overall, with their struggles, especially offensively too. And you cannot give away 3 outs in that situation. I just think the big mental lapse for him, he is pressing a lot over there at third base. Look, if he was hitting 350 with, he's got 19 home runs and he's got 30 home runs, well, different story. You can let a little bit of that slide, but that's not the case. And Kyle Seager, that is eating him up because he takes so much pride in his defense.
Right, and each error that he makes just will compound on each error that he makes, and it turns into that middle game. It's 90% middle when people say that, and it eats at you. And then you're like, pretty soon you're like, don't hit the ball down here for a while.
Yeah, we'll see how it affects his at bat too. You always see that get carried over to the other side of their game.
Eddie Butler, who came over in the Cole Hamels trade from the Cubs, takes over here. Giovanni Gallardo went 6 innings. Alex Claudio got 2 outs in the 7th. Corey Guerin got that last out. Guerin gave up 3 runs, or actually 1 run. Claudio was charged with 3 in an inning in which the Mariners looked like they had climbed right back in the game. They did. It was 7-6. But the Rangers put up 4, an 11-6 lead. And Seager rolls out to open up this 8th inning.
Right when I hit that ball, I looked up and been happy, and then gone, oh no, the shift's on.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm out. I just took a hit away from you.
Well, he's done that a lot too, Kyle Seager, hitting into that shift all day long.
Denard Span's got 2 hits. We've got Romine to follow. And Butler misses away. It's 1-0. Gallardo is in line for the win. He was just what his manager told us he would be. That ball's hit well, but it's hooking and it's foul. Got the lead, held the lead, wasn't overpowering, just efficient. 6 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs.
Good. Look at me smile.
Yeah, just stingy enough. Look at that little fan. Can we get one of these up in the booth or what?
That little fan took direction quite well. You could hear the cameraman asking him to give him a thumbs up, give him a smile.
They're used to this heat.
Well, in 2 years, they'll be in air-conditioned comfort.
Yeah. You mentioned Guerrero's 6 innings, 3 walks, but it didn't factor in today. He was efficient around the walks, only 2 strikeouts. Like you said, Rich, and like Jeff Bannister described him, stingy. Love that reference. Nothing was middle of the plate, no big innings. He's done a lot better too. Runners in scoring position this year for Guerrero. He's struggled a little bit, but he's been a lot better lately. This year it's been 326 against him.
You've got Romine on deck. Remember, Ryan Healy left with a heat-related illness. And Span, oh, that's a terrific play by Guzman. Butler is there to get the out. We told you Guzman covers a lot of ground, and he shows it off there.
Big, rangy first baseman. That's why they got him out there, to make the defensive plays. That was a good one. Yeah, I like how we touched on how Jeff said Giovanni might pick for a little bit, and then once he gets the lead, he'll dial it back in. He started challenging a few more hitters, and it worked out right. And again, as we're touching on pitching and the future and things like that, it definitely affected the defensive side of the Rangers as far as the trade deadline and things. When you got to get rid of Kella, Diekman, Hamels, who though struggled here his last 5 starts, and that changed the scenery. He threw a gem immediately. But there were days when the Rangers would get to the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning, and it was Diekman and Kella and the closer, and it was automatic. It was over. The ball game was over. So that's going to affect them as far as bullpen.
Now, we haven't done this yet on these shows, but we do have a blooper reel that's been sitting in the vaults. And lo and behold, when we dusted it off, we found you on there a couple of times. So let's sit back, look, and listen to some all-time Major League bloopers. Who doesn't like bloopers?
Base hit right field, but they're going to have to hold Jeltz at third. Going now, the ball gets away from O'Neill. He kicks it to Benzinger. He kicked the ball to Todd Benzinger.
The absolute all-time play I may have ever seen.
High fly ball, right field deep. Canseco back to the track. Look it out. It is off his head. That looked like it hit Canseco on the top of the head. We'll have to check the replay. It did.
Racing back to Lucci. Still going back into Death Valley. It goes right over his glove. He missed it, but Ruben Rivera missed second base. Now he's heading for third, and they're going to throw him out by 20, but the corner third is spots. Now he's heading home. The loose ball in the infield, and he's out by 5 feet at the plate.
Line drive, base hit into right field. Francoeur will play it off the wall, and Span on his way to second, thinking 3. Francoeur bobbled it, and then it loosens out of his hand as he tries to chuck it to the infield.
Was your arm barking the day you threw out the first pitch? Because I hurt my shoulder in the gym lifting weights.
In the air to left center field, going back on it, Ozuna at the wall. Hey, this is going to fly!
When they talk about overrunning something, Ozuna just did.
All right, now David Hulse was in the outfield when Canseco's ball went off his head, but you were front and center for this one. This is you against the Angels, and you fouled, what, 4 straight balls into the Angels dugout, and they cleared the dugout for you.
It was a tough at bat, obviously. Yeah, first one, smashed one in there, and we have the security guard first. He goes, nah, I've had enough of this, and the trainer just happened to be down there. So he said, I'm taking it to the end of the dugout. So I think it was Rob Ducey. He stayed down there and put a glove on and shriveled up in the corner, and I smashed the next one in there. That ran the security guard off, and then everybody started just gradually moving down, and so hit the next one right in there. So that just really got the crowd incited. And so they're like, there's no way this can happen again. And sure enough, it did. And
so you hit 4 of them.
4 in a row.
What happened at the end of the at-bat?
I hit a ground ball to shortstop. I was going to say a sharp. I hit a ground ball to shortstop.
Well, you didn't show it, man.
But
you hit a laser shortstop, right?
Yeah, I was so amped. I almost beat it out, but it was one of the few times where I get like a standing ovation in a opposing team's ballpark. But the kicker was the next day, Bert Blylem's pitching his last game ever. And everybody's laughing when I come up to the plate to hit leadoff. And they say, just step out for a minute. So I step out. and there's no one in the dugout except for a guy in full catcher's gear. Now, I wish we could have got that on. And then I look out and I see Bert Blyleven give me a little snicker. So I knew it was okay to relax for a minute because I was a rookie there, and there's no way I'm showing him up at any point.
You've got to tell that story, though, you told on MLB Central today.
There's a two-hopper. Nice play by Segura to knock it down. And from his knee, he wheels, and Romine helps him with a pick. There's a really nice play on both ends, both Segura and Romine, for the first out in the bottom of the 8th.
The story when Jose Canseco, that one blooper we got to see, when that ball came off his head, and you were the first guy over to him. Tell us about the conversation. It's a great story. I heard it for the first time.
Yeah, so again, I'm a rookie, and I forget there's cameras everywhere because I'm just a rookie. So we go back, and I go out, and I goes, I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt. And I go, did that hit you in the head? And he was like, no, it went off my glove. So that's when I'm covered up, and I'm laughing. And after this play is made right here, so I start laughing, and I take it around to Gary Reedus. Old Red Dog was playing left field that day. Oh, here we go.
So Canseco told you it didn't hit his head.
He said it went off his glove.
This is world famous. Love it. There you are. Boom. Straight off the noggin.
So the laughter, we just kind of got spread around, and the only one who didn't care was obviously Jose Canseco. I guarantee you 5 minutes later, he probably forgot that even happened.
I love that he dropped it. Oh, no, it was off my glove. What are you talking about?
Right, and I love the announcer where it's deep to the track and like off his head. Like he wasn't even sure. He was like, it turns into a question.
It's awesome.
Drew Robinson getting an at-bat, his first at-bat. He came in as a pinch runner, and he lines one into center field for a hit. That's the 19th hit for the Rangers in this ballgame.
Yeah, and so he has that blooper where he obviously was not a great defender, which lets y'all realize how much ground I had to cover in Texas between Juan Gonzalez and Jose Canseco.
Oh, yeah.
But the worst thing, which wasn't a blooper, was actually devastating, is when he decided he thought he could pitch too that day in Boston, I believe it was, and he came out throwing knuckleballs, and he blew his arm out completely. So I don't think that bothered him either because he just bounced back, and Jose is Jose. But that was not a good moment for him as well.
I love the A, the backstory, and B, the behind the scenes, because I've seen that blooper literally 1,000 times since I was, whenever that was, since I was a kid. But I just love the backstory, and the fact that you were right there 20 feet away from him was great.
Tochi, the 9-hitter, has a base hit and a sacrifice bunt. Bradford throws a strike.
So just to show my age, you know, it was so long ago, and it was a big blooper then, but just recently in the 25-year anniversary, it went just viral. And I was like, wait a minute, what's all this that people were texting me like, your video's everywhere?
That's awesome.
And I was like, well,
your video, come on.
I mean, yeah.
Seager backing up, whips it to Gordon in time to get the out.
To my friends.
And Bradford works a clean inning here in the 8th. Last chance for Seattle. They had a big inning earlier, but they're down 5. And they head to the 9th here. The Rangers 3 outs away from winning this series and staying on what has been a really nice run for this very young team. Texas has won 8 of their last 11. They'd love to make it 9 of 12. 19 hits, that's a season high. Under the watchful eye of the big sexy. And that's Bartolo Colon, not Steven Nelson, but he's with us as well. Steven, let's check in with you. All right, let's give that another try. Sometimes in this business, you get a bad hop. You gotta knock it down, pick it up, and make the play. And let's go back down to Steven Nelson. Steven?
And Rich, sometimes the ball bounces on a bad hop and hits one in the face. In this instance, that was me getting in the face. I want to show you some social scene pictures for the Seattle Mariners. We've been doing this throughout the year on Facebook Watch, showing how teams dress up for road trips. So the Mariners recently had all kinds of greatness. Are we seeing it?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so D. Gordon
showing some quads.
Rocking the Gary Payton. Segura is Sean Kemp. They get Seager and Healy as Detlef Shrimp. I see Chris Herman with the Durant 35 RIP signage. Speaking of RIP, rest in peace. Nelson Cruz dressed as The Undertaker. Cameron Maben, a.k.a. Bret the Hitman Hart. Heredia as the Macho Man. Denard Span as Hulk Hogan. I mean, it's just so phenomenal. And Stone Cold Steve Austin, he's got a mask on. That is Ichiro. So that's the bottom line because Ichiro said so. And then finally, Felix, Super Trooper Hernandez, Diaz, and Colomé flanking him. Hopefully, neither of them said shenanigans. If you've seen Super Troopers, you know what I'm talking about. But also, can the comment section, talk about Ryan's chest lettuce that he's rocking here as we see a home run?
Yeah, that's Mike Zunino, and he's red hot right now. Zunino's second homer of this ballgame, his third homer in this series, and that's a blast at deep center field. No Super Trooper involved there. Zunino, and again, it's a great sign for the Mariners that Zunino's on one of these hot streaks.
Yeah.
He's got 16 home runs now.
Yeah, it's important, again, when you are going through this kind of skid to take the good with the bad. Mike Zunino straight away center field, 437 feet. He's at his best when he's hitting the ball straight away center and to right center, letting that ball travel. Good to see. Look, you want him in the lineup as much as possible because he does such an amazing job behind the plate.
Another look. Remember that the one homer was a pitch was outer half. This was outer half as well.
And the pitch before that, he almost hit in the upper deck foul.
Yeah.
And it just let it get a little deeper again. Plus, it was away, and he stayed on it. And
yeah.
Did this just unbelievable.
Really good sign. Yeah, just going back to those photos on Instagram, that was a big hit, obviously, with the Mariner fans, the media, and everything else. It's so important that you're going through a stretch like this. I remember back when I was playing in a rough year, I think it was 2008, lost a ton of games. We had the rookie dress-ups canceled that year because we're going through a tough stretch. It's so important to stay loose and just to do the things you're doing. This team has so much team chemistry in that locker room, the Mariners, and it's so important. No matter what you're going through, you still have to stay loose and do the things you did when things are going well. So, again, good to see. Obviously, they're going through a tough stretch right now, but if they can maintain that, they're going to come out of this offensive slump and these losers eventually.
Yeah, it's also a reason why you need great, strong veteran players in the clubhouse for reasons like that, to help the young guys along, or when you're struggling, they can cut up and be loose to cut the tension, or they can be serious, but the presence there to take control of them all and just to keep them even keel, even when it's a rough spot in the season, to get them back on track.
Yeah, it starts at 2:30 in the afternoon too, when you walk into a clubhouse. Make that eye contact, be big, be loud, be vocal. Because everyone's looking at each other. They feel like, especially when you care about each other in the locker room, you're letting each other down. It's so important.
Cameron Maben with a line drive that's foul. Maben, an RBI single in the 7th. Scott Service told us in our meeting this morning, just got to score more runs, and that's one of the frustrating things here. 7 runs. But for the second time, the Rangers have 11 runs in a ballgame in this series. Maben's not happy with a strike 3 call, but it looked like a strike. And there's one out. Eddie Butler trying to close things out. Here's a look with the strike zone as well, and that is a strike.
Pretty hittable pitch too, 94 up in the strike zone. Cameron Maben maybe guessing something a little bit different.
D. Gordon now. Gordon is 0 for 4. And the pitch is in.
The other part of this too with the Seattle Mariners offense has come about. Last couple of days they put up 4 runs. They got some long balls as well, which has been pretty vacant from the last couple of months, but just putting 7 runs up, that's a good sign again. And now it's just a matter of the pitching getting back on track, which has been so solid all year.
Gordon with a line drive. And that's kind of the way it's going right now. Andrus there to make a leaping catch. And Seattle down to their last out. And it's Segura coming to the plate.
Today you just got caught up in a slugfest with a hot team that's on a roll.
Yeah.
Where their offense has been strong too.
Yeah, and you can say what you want about leaving this series at least 2 games out of 3 as the Seattle Mariners are trying to make that playoff push. But man, when you run into a young offense that's just salivating on mistakes like the Rangers have the last couple of days, it can be tough.
Segura end of the bat and floats that one into the seats. So Seattle's going to head to Houston. They'll try to take something out of this. Certainly Mike Zunino with 2 home runs. Segura with a 2-run single. Maybe that's the flip of the switch that gets him going. Mitch Haniger had 2 RBI hits. Slow roller, Andrus to first, and the Rangers stay hot. On a warm day here in Arlington, Jeff Bannister's ball club wins for the 9th time in their last 12 games, and they take the series from Seattle. The Mariners fall 2.5 behind Oakland for that last wild card spot in the American League. Oakland has to face Clayton Kershaw tonight in Oakland. It's Dodgers and Athletics. But here you're seeing a young club that's starting to gel a bit and play really well in the second half. The Rangers with win number 51 on the season.
Yeah, they can just get enough pitching. This offense is on fire. There was one of the Facebook like it or thumbs up or thumbs down talking about if Clayton Kershaw was here. Could this team be a postseason threat? But the thing is, obviously, when you've got these young, mid-20-year-old hitters from the Texas Rangers, man, they can do some serious damage. And on the flip side of that, the Seattle Mariners finally got that offense. But again, that pitching, you were hoping for Marco Gonzalez to be the stopper of the skid, especially after last night, so it was tough.
All right, David, we opened the show and you were talking about Rougned Odor and Joey Gallo, and both those guys had nice days today.
They provided. Odor started it off with that right there, a nice little drag bunt lefty on lefty to spark the team and get something going. And then Gallo, what I like more, I love the 2 home runs, but the first at bat I loved, where he just hit a nice line drive base hit. And then it seemed like it just compounded. And it's just, they're just both so confident that they're seeing the ball really well. And again, they're staying back, seeing it longer, and just having great at bats.
And that was the home run that wrapped around the pole.
Went around pesky pole.
It's a young and dynamic team that's really hot right now. And Joey Gallo joins us now. All right, Joey, you just heard David Hulse, former Ranger, talk about your day. He was more impressed with your RBI single than your 2 home runs. How about you?
Yeah, that's kind of my approach going into it was, you know, I knew he was kind of soft against lefties, so I just wanted to, you know, get something over the plate, and with a guy on third right there, just put something in play and try to make something happen.
Yeah, and what I loved last night, I saw you not try to do too much, and you hit that ball up the middle as well. And today you came in and did the same thing early. It looks like you were just staying on the ball better, staying back better, which allows you to see it better. And your second and third at bat, well, obviously, which is why everyone comes out to watch you play.
Yeah, you know, when I'm using the whole field and kind of, you know, staying through the middle, then, you know, that ball in, I can still hit out to right field like I did today. The ball away, I can hit the other way. So, you know, obviously when you get that first knock, you know, you're feeling pretty good because you're like, okay, at least I got one today. You know, I can kind of let it loose a little bit here. But so it was a good day. I mean, a good day for a lot of our guys, you know, especially a day game. It's pretty tough to come out here and, you know, put together runs, but we did a really good job of that today.
Hey, Joey, we talked to your manager earlier today. He really likes this young group. He loves what you and Odor are doing. Profar starting to blossom. Andrus, of course, is great. You guys seem like you're having a lot of fun right now, and it shows on the field. You won 9 of 12.
Yeah, I mean, I look around, you know, our clubhouse and look at our lineup, and I think, like I said, I think we have one of the best lineups in baseball. I really believe that. We score a lot of runs, and it might be a little different way, and you know, then you know, we hit a lot of home runs, you might strike out, but we still, you know, we still produce runs, and you know, everybody's, you know, 6 of the 9 starters are 25 or under, so that's pretty special. A lot of people forget about that, but yeah, it's an amazing group, and we have such great chemistry because we've been together since, you know, 2012, 2013, every year. So we really get each other. We really understand each other. It's more of a brotherhood than just a team.
Hey, do you, Harper and Bryant, just take batting practice in Vegas in the offseason? I mean, what is it with those sluggers coming out of that area right now?
Yeah, no, I don't get to hit with those guys. They hit on their own. I'm not quite in that category yet, or close. But yeah, growing up, you know, like Chris Bryant dad was my hitting coach. Hit with Bryce, so you know, all those guys. You know, growing up, we were all trying to hit home runs every at bat, and it just so happens we got to the major leagues and we can do the same thing now.
Well, it's working. You had a terrific day. Continued success with this young ball club. I think this is if you can add pitching next year, this is a team to watch. Thanks for the visit.
All right, thank you guys.
All right. So Joey Gallo with a big day in this one. He drove in 4, 2 homers, numbers 30 and 31. And the Rangers stay hot. For Kyle Seager and the Mariners, they've got to get it together. They arrive in Houston tomorrow. Right now, 2.5 back out of that wild card spot. Tomorrow, another game on Facebook Watch in our nation's capital. It's the Braves and the Nationals, and that's a key one in the National League East. For Ryan Rowland-Smith, David Holtz, and Steven Nelson, I'm Rich Waltz saying goodbye for now. Thanks for watching MLB Live on Facebook Watch.